Well, a very good morning and welcome to Oxford. This is day 2 of the Sports Tape Men's and Women's National Touch Series. This is round number 1. We had a fantastic opening day here yesterday, and we now go into the second day with lots of fantastic games coming up, and we've got an absolute belter for you. First up this morning as we go into the men's, CSSC taking on London Scorpions. And there goes the hooter, so our first game is only a matter of seconds away from starting. My name's Bradley Hope and I'll be joined by various voices throughout the day, bringing you all the inside knowledge, the tactics, and of course all the reaction as and when it happens. And here comes CSSC straight from the off, looking to try and get that opening score. Chris Wall in the middle there for CSSC. We didn't see the CSSC men's in action on pitch number 1 yesterday. And just a reminder that the opening 7 games of the day will all be 20 minutes. So quick fire games, we'll be going through them at a rate of knots as London Scorpions look to get off to a perfect start. Sam Missing involved. And the Scorpions get off to the, looks like the perfect start. No, the referee's just seeing it was a final touch and pass from Sam Missing. So no score, we remain goalless in the opening couple of minutes. It was over Justin Conway who came through. I think it looked like just receiving that pass from Sam Missing. The London Scorpions now have the chance. Now that is Justin Conway. That Ewan Armstrong with the cap on, just in your picture for London Scorpions. Clark Hobson now. He's in the black cap for the Scorps. And an opportunity to try and get the opening score of the morning. Ball sends out wide. It's a good take. Oh, just to try to be a bit clever. Clark Hobson makes way. It's Justin Conway on this near side, in fact. And CSSC trying to make the early inroads. Nicholas Southgate in the middle. He's in the odd shirt and he's on the ball now. Atkins, the number 21 now with the white cap on, back inside. Oh, great take, but the pass comes in, the 5th touch, so one more remaining. Can they try and utilise this somehow back into the middle? Tried to get around his man, he gets it down. Nicholas Southgate going from right to left. And that's the opening score of the morning. Nicholas Southgate just sells the dummy on Ewan Armstrong. And Southgate, the opening score then, CSSC. What a high-intensity, fast-paced start we've had to this game so far. Samuel Missing. Clark Hobson now. Hobson laying it off back to Lynch. Lynch looks to go out wide. And the perfect response for the London Scorpions. And it's that man on that far side, Will Seracold, who gets off the mark. He scored 6 in total yesterday in one of the games. It was against Galaxy London, I think. And he got 6 all to himself, and he gets off to the perfect start for the London Scorpions. So 1 apiece after the opening couple of minutes. And here come CSSC trying to work an angle, trying to find something, trying to respond. Chris Wall in the middle. He's looking to try and go wide, and what a response that is from CSSC. Chris Wall involved with Weaver. And looking out wide, and he finds George Miller. Often sporting the number 12 jersey we saw in the Belief Elite National Touch Series. Is in the number 6 today. Dan Roberts involved now with London Scorpions. Roberts now with the ball, looking to try and weave through. He gets in. Does the touch come? They're claiming it. Assistant referee just deliberating, but the score is given. And London Scorpions are back level. Dan Roberts gets it down just in time, 2 apiece. What a start to the morning after the opening 5 minutes. Absolutely scintillating stuff. Tom Hall, Chris Wall now linking up in the middle. Here's Andrew Dyer trying to weave his way through. Chris Wall lays it back off to Tom Hall. Nice interchange between the two of them. Henry Stratford involved on just that loose pass on the 5-metre line. So many recognisable faces from the Belief Elite National Touch Series in this CSSC side. Henry Stratford, Nicholas Southgate, Colin Scott. It's almost pretty much the same side that we saw for those 3 weekends in Banbury, Manchester and here in Oxford. Oh, and a bit of a communication error. Nye Davis trying to go back inside and look to Dan Roberts. So on the 10-metre mark, nice running. Andrew Dyer gets over the halfway line. Chris Wall, he was in the commentary box with us in Oxford a couple of weeks ago, just saying how much he's delighted that the team and the club in a whole are progressing. 3 sides were involved that weekend here in Oxford. Men's and women's side, of course, here this weekend. The women's CSSC side yesterday were absolutely fantastic to watch. They were one of my picks of the day. They were brilliant to watch, attacking wise and defensively as well. And Chris Wehrmouth, who is often joining me in the commentary box, he gave a really good analysis of how they use their subs, in particular the CSSC women's side, and they build on that strategy, and they are such a brilliant side to watch going forward. But this London Scorpions side as well, packed with some very recognisable faces and a very capable side like Clark Hobson, Sam Missing, Dan Roberts, Will Sericod as well, getting 6 all to himself yesterday. So this is an intriguing matchup as Colin Scott tries to go through on himself the number 1 jersey. Here's Tanner, the 14-year-old. Scott now, can he just weave his way through? Looks to go long. Oh, and good pressure from Will Sericod over on that far side. Although referee penalising them, and CSSC now have a really good opportunity for fresh 6s. Scott. Another opportunity here for CSSC. Can they sneak the way back in front of 8 minutes on the clock gone? Here's Scott. Tanner's just to his left. Scott and Tanner linking up. Michael's now in the middle, just on the edge of this 5-metre line. Good pressure from Samuel Missing. Scott, Tanner linking up and diving for the line. Michael's going for it and gets the score. Let's have another look at this replay. Scott with Tanner linking up nicely. Tanner just laying it off back into Michaels, who dives one-handed for the line. He gets his dive in early, making it really hard for the likes of Clark Hobson to get in there and get that touch. And so CSSC leading by 3 points to 2. 9 minutes gone. A fantastic start to the morning here in Oxford. It's a overcast day. A nice temperature though. Perfect temperature for these players. Dan Roberts now. Justin Conway's there. He goes through. Oh, an important touch just on the line. Here is Roberts again. Looks to try and go left, and that's the 6th and final touch, so turnover in possession. Henry Stratford making that arcing banana run, doing well, and just in front of the subs box, so just bringing on one fresh face on the halfway line. Atkins along with Michaels now linking up in the middle. Wall's just to his right, but opts to go for that long pass out wide. Trying to find George Miller. But turnover possession, and now Justin Conway can come forward for London Scorpions. Some fresh faces now making way. Here's Lynch now. Sam Missing picking up Clark Hobson now, bursting forward over the 10-metre line. Sam Missing and Clark Hobson linking up nicely. Missing, can he just work an angle, or he's just trying to almost just creep underneath Chris Wall, but the 6th and final touch, so turnover in front of the goal line. And 11 minutes gone, and it's been a fantastic game so far, full of energy, really good flow to the game. Here's Dyer making up the yards through the middle, picked up nicely by Tom Hall. Oh, Dyer just almost thinking one step ahead as he just lost control of the ball. A turnover in their own half. Scorpions looking to try and make up the yards, but good defensive pressure from CSSC trying to force them back. Sam Missing selling the dummy, but getting through over the 10-metre mark they go, through the middle. Sam Missing along with Lynch. Lynch and Missing linking up. Here's Clark Hobson. Good pressure once again from Colin Scott. And I'm delighted to say, for the opening game of the day, I'm joined by Chris Wearmouth for this first one. And set to be another very intriguing day. 7 20-minute games to get us started as well. So no messing about this morning.
No, everybody's come out the blocks firing this morning. We've got the CSSC London Scorpions women's game going on behind us, and we can hear the energy from just the sheer volume coming from the London Scorpions sub box, which is immediately behind us. As far as this game's concerned, it's been, both teams have come firing. Yesterday morning we saw, the teams take a little bit of time to get into the swing of it. This morning, no such worry about that. CSSC men yesterday, we played some really good touch. We saw them play against Cambridge, and Scorpions just go through the gears regularly. And we're seeing with CSSC now are under a massive amount of pressure from the Scorps. Clark Hobson, one of their many England players, and Sam Missing, who's another England player with the mixed open, Clark with the men's open. And we see they're looking to stretch CSSC left and right.
Absolutely super play. Justin Conway and Samuel Missing linking up. They couldn't get it quite right just in the opening minute, but that was all thanks to some fantastic skill from Justin Conway and Samuel Missing making that run and going in with full momentum and getting down to the line. And that was a lovely score.
That was just outstanding touch all round. And with the good thing is when touch is that it's played really well. You see things which are unique to the sport, and then you see things which are more commonly seen with other forms, or with other codes of rugby, and that's exactly what you saw with that. So Clark Hobson, come back to that in a second, as Henry Stratford breaks through for CSSC. But so Clark Hobson and Samus, they were looking to pull the CSSC midfield around. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a 30-metre pass out to the wing. Justin Conway, who's the mixed open head coach, England mixed open head coach, little step inside, and then because by doing that, he draws the defender, and little offloads, drawing the man, complete patience, no panic, and a fantastic score from the Scorps.
And here they come again, looking to try and turn this one on its head after being 3-2 down. And an opportunity here. And these are the opportunities when there's only these 20-minute games. You want to try and take them as well. Here's Justin Conway, whose skill got them back on track. Roberts looking to try and go wide, but goes in himself. And gets in as well. There was just a little bit of discussion whether he'd got the touch ahead of him. It was Weaver who was just on the line, but the London Scorps, that was a brilliant little run. And just sneaks through, and London Scorpions, after being 3-2 down, have turned this one around, and on the 15-minute mark, lead by 4 points to 3.
Yeah, Weaver was, he just went a half pace too far. Just got caught a little bit out of position, and you just can't do that against a team as good as Scorps.
The pass coming in from Scots just dies in front of him, Atkins. And Scorps can now start from their own half on their own 10-metre. Clark Hobson making up the yards on the halfway. Finds Sam Missing again to his left. Nice running onto the ball. Good momentum to this. Sam Missing at the heart of it at the moment. This is a really lovely play from the London Scorpions, but important touch from Andrew Dyer on that far side. Just stopping that attack from going any further.
I love watching Scorpions driving play. Doesn't matter who's on the field. They just have this uncanny ability just to go through the gears and then just to change the pace or change the position through, you know, just a couple of steps, and then just jinking off to try and encourage the defender to come off his line, concede a penalty, aim at the offside players. You know, we've seen, he's not here this morning, but Dom Tripp, he's you know, we've seen yesterday him do that through the middle just time and time again. Sam Missing, just another one of those man that we saw him play for, do the same thing when he was playing for Cambridge in the elite mixed NTS, and you know, he's playing for Scorpions in this. A bit of a change of scenery, good for him, good for his development, and you know, it's great to see.
Henry Stratford now trying to work his way. Chris Wall was there, and Henry Stratford was almost looking, he was going to go alone when he saw the run from Chris Wall coming in from the far side, and it just couldn't pull off. Otherwise, that would have been a nicely worked individual probably try from Henry Stratford as well. So on the halfway line to go, Roberts now with Davis over the halfway. Now onto the 10-metre mark. Justin Conway now coming onto the field, onto this near side. Roberts now having to go sideways, just can't work his way through, but turnover now on their own 10-metre and trying to work their way onto the halfway line. CSSC, no messing about, only 3 minutes left. These 20-minute games, they will fly by this morning. And back into the middle. Michaels now over the 10-metre. Tanner back inside now, looking for Scots. Scots laying it back on. And Tom Hall just trying to work his way through. Just a bit of a hard touch called by the referee, so good opportunities for CSSC to get back into this one.
Good bit of milking there from Tom Hall as well. You know, he knew exactly how to make the most of that. You know, if you're late on in your touch count, which is what CSSC were, you know, you want every little bit of advantage. You know, get a penalty and a fresh set of 6-10 metres out. Just in terms of the fast and frantic, a lot of these London teams are used to playing each other in this format. And so the tactics, so in terms of the pulling and pushing and the conditioning aspect of things, and you know, the more tactical play that can come in a 40-minute game, you know, some of that goes out the window in the 20 minutes, which can become shootouts. And as you say, this has become one of them.
Well, as we're into the final 2 minutes of what's been a pulsating game this morning. And Tanner looking to try and get his team back to level terms, trying to sneak his way through. Scott was there as well, waiting in the wings. And here is that man, Scott. Tanner now laying off to his left to Dyer. He's just having to be forced back. Dyer with Chris Wall. Wall looking to go left. Oh, Tanner had already made that run, and you can see the cheers from the Scorpion subs box. They're happy with that one.
Yeah, it was good play by CSSC to create the space for the speed merchant. We saw Zubin Tanner's, you know, plenty of pace from him yesterday. And, you know, they did absolutely everything right. It's just he just overran that pass by again. You know, it's a half pace here and a half pace there, and you just can't afford to do that at this level.
So a minute left on our clock. Clark Hobson now and Sam Missing. Those two seem to be linking it really nicely in the moment for the London Scorpions. Nice little layoff. Samuel Missing back inside. And turnover possession, and this is the moment for CSSC if they want to try and get back to level terms. Of course, round robin format, every point counts throughout the weekend. And here comes Andrew Dyatt. Can he try and get his team up the field now with Chris Wall over the halfway? Dyatt back inside. Along the line. Atkins in the middle. Dyatt laying it back off. Looking to find Tom Hall. Hall of Chris Wall now back inside Atkins. Those two linking up. Can the Scorpions just hold out? Seconds remaining. There goes the hooter. Needs something now. And the touch comes in. And the London Scorpions hold on. It was a fantastic 20 minutes of touch rugby here in Oxford this morning, but it's the London Scorpions who come out by 4 points to 3. Well, let's hope all the games throughout the day are going to be just like that. Well, that's our first one done and dusted, and we will see CSSC back in action once again in a couple of moments' time as they take on the home club Oxford. But stay with us. This is going to be an absolutely riveting day here in the first round of the Sports Take Men and Women's National Touch Series. We'll be back in a couple of minutes' time.
A three-man drive is an attacking play which we use to gain momentum. A three-man drive includes 3 players, a half, the person who dumps the ball, and the runner. These 3 players will alternate between themselves in order to create each person's role within that three-man drive. So it'll start with a roll ball. The half will then pass the ball off the deck to the first runner. This first runner will then become the person who dumps the ball, initiating the touch on the defender, for then the person who previously dumped the ball to become the half. A 4-man drive is a 3-man drive, but with another person. The 4-man drive can also be referred to as arrows, and what we're looking to do is the exact same principle as a 3-man drive, but just to add a secondary option of the runner. So you've got one runner on the left, one runner on the right, and the half will wrap around whichever way they pass the ball, becoming the runner. The best way to complete a 4-man drive or an arrows platform is to hit one side, i.e. to pass the ball to the left, and then to pass the ball to the right, the second runner, and then the left for the third, and so on. A buddy is a 2-man play which we use to create the momentum for a 3- or 4-man drive. A buddy involves the ball being put down, stepped over, the half will then pass back to that same person, and they will run straight into the 3- or 4-man drive. The Mexican standoff starts when the defensive team make their 5-metre line. The moment one person from the 6 step into that 5-metre line, the whole team then has to move forward until the touch is either imminent or initiated. The Mexican standoff has one other rule where the attacking team, if they enter the 5-metre channel, the defensive team no longer have to walk up. But until then, the defensive team have to move forward until the touch is imminent.
Forward, 44! Gotta stay forward, gotta stay up! Still forward, no pulling back early. Still up, 27, stay up! Stay up! Now drop! Scoreline, girls!
So here we go then, here in Oxford. We are swiftly moving on to our second game of the day, and once again we're going to see CSSC men's back in action against the home club Oxford. And of course this is a different format to the Belief Elite National Touch Series, which if you joined us for our coverage, it's a round robin format where every point matters, Chris.
Yeah, every team's playing everybody else twice, so they're playing each other once in the 20-minute and once in the 40-minute. And ultimately, this could be a case that that touchdown difference or try difference is going to count when it comes to deciding who finishes top, because all of these teams, as we've seen, are capable of beating each other. You know, Scorpions have set the pace in the men's tournament, and CSSC have set the pace in the women's tournament. But you know, like I said yesterday, you know, they're so much fast and frantic, and a mistake here there is going to matter. And you know, so if you're winning, you want to win by a lot.
Well, Michael's going in for the line, trying to get the first score on the board for CSSC. I'm sure they'd love to try and bounce back straight away from that defeat. Does that sometimes help when you've lost a game and you can get on the pitch straight away and try and correct that?
It's one of those cliches in sport, isn't it? You just want to get out there and put right the wrongs of your previous game straight away. And you know, had CSSC had a 20-minute break, then they'd be stewing on it. Whereas now they can just go, they can treat it like a half-time and about what they want to do and how they're going to approach this game and really put things into action. Oxford are putting them under pressure. I didn't see much of Oxford yesterday, so I've been quite impressed by their early driving play just in this opening minute and a half. And you know, we'll see what they do from close range in terms of trying to manipulate the CSSC defence. You know, they've got lots of experience in this CSSC outfit, and you know, so it's going to take something special to break them down as we see them really put pressure on the Oxford defence. We saw that yesterday across the park. They know when to shoot one person up, when to flood the defence and really force a mistake.
Johnson looking to try and go out wide on this early stages here for Oxford. But yeah, we did have Jack Harris from the Oxford Touch Club just joining us for a couple of the games yesterday, and he was saying he was impressed that they've obviously brought a few players in from different clubs, but they seem to be gelling well and looking to try and really force home the initiative every time they're trying to go forward. And it's at the moment they've had a relatively decent weekend and looking to try and get an opening day win, second day win I should say. As CSSC looking to try and get up the other end. Well, what an unbelievable touch that was.
Andrew Hammond from Oxford, take a bow, son. That was that was fantastic. It was a home gone, absolutely gone. The Nick William Simpson on this near side, he was gone, and just that last gasp desperation, clipped the back of the heels and pulled it back, and all of a sudden, you know, they've. I mean, CSSC have got possession where they want it. But Oxford, you know, just conceding a penalty there for interfering with the play at the breakdown, at the play of the ball.
So fresh set of six, Atkins and Scott linking up in the middle. Atkins, he looks like he was just about to claim it with his right hand and trying to grab hold of it, but he just couldn't do so as they were heading for the line. So it's turnover in possession. Massey now involved in the middle, number 55 for Oxford. Arcing run forward towards their own subs box. A few fresh faces come on. Harris is now onto the field. Johnson now is making his way off the field and handing over responsibilities. Andrew Hammond is just having to come back to his own 10-metre. Here is Harris. Luke Milson now in the middle. He points back to Harris to take it. He gets the touchdown. With Milson back onto the halfway line as they cross it. Good momentum building up, running onto it, building up the yards. This is good work from Oxford, really trying to put the CSSC defence under a lot of pressure early on. But at the moment, we still remain scoreless. Milson back inside. It just was an awkward angle. And otherwise, they were through, although there was some covering defence in the middle for CSSC as they look to try and work an opportunity themselves. Scott back inside, look to try and fight Atkins. He has the white cap on as he makes his way off the field. Some support now of Chris Wall coming off the subs box, but that momentum coming off, you talked about it yesterday with the women's side, Chris, and it is something they really try and implement.
Yeah, they play a massively high energy game as Tom Hall goes all the way through to the Scoreline feeds Henry Stratford, but the touch was made on that scoreline. So CSSC will have one play to try and break things down. Talk about their overall game style in a second. After this, we'll see how this play pans out.
Chris Wall back inside. He gets it back, looks to try and go out wide on. Just that final pass to try and find Henry Stratford. Just was behind him. But Chris, yeah, they just do play a really high-intensity game. And you were going into some detail about how they utilise the subs box as well to their advantage as well.
Yeah, so in attack, when they're running their subbing moves, they'll get people on. So we see the Oxford players coming on now. Is they're all coming from behind the play. They're having to work to get around to come back into play. CSSC work over the halfway line, so you've got players who can come straight into the place. They don't have to work that out, those extra couple of meters, and to expend the energy to come in and try and force play with that. The other thing that's really impressed me just in this game, and I kind of touched on it yesterday watching the women, is they play that energy they have in the defence as well. So they'll maybe send one player up in defence, and then kind of see what the opposition are looking to do. But they have no hesitation in sending up another 2 or even another 3 to really shut down the attack. Maybe force a bit of a mistake. So there can be a number of... So we'll see how Tom Hall gets this ball away. CSSC open the scoring. Fantastic score. High momentum. Nothing too complicated in that. Some good bit of rugby for them to score. But, as I say, in defence, you can have, there are a number of ways you can defend. You can defend in a like having almost like a defensive quarterback in the pocket, telling everybody what to do in front of him, or you can have what's called like a Pistons defense. So 3 go up and 3 hold back, and they rotate around who's doing it to try and shut play down and force player. Or you can have one person going up as a shooter. What CSSC do is they will adapt between maybe 2 or 3 of those within the same defensive play, let alone through a set of 6, and and that's been really, you only get to do that if you're really, really well drilled, well honed, and experienced of playing alongside each other. But it requires an awful lot of energy, because if you've got a defensive player who's having to go up all of a sudden in 5 meters to shut the play down, and then to drop back another 6 or 7 back to where the referee is, that requires, all of these guys have got fantastic engines, and the ladies too. You see them just, they'll keep this pressure up and the pace up for a good 20, even 40 minutes.
Well, here comes CSSC once again. Colin Scott involved, and there they go through. Referee just signalling there was no touch, and that's the confirmation of the second try. So CSSC now just building up really nicely. Scott's laying it back off to Atkins in the white cap. The space opened up between the wide and Link, and he just sneaked his way through. But just that final bit, just about the defensive work. I was actually with Kat Spring from Thames Valley Vikings. We were watching CSSC Women's yesterday, and it was almost as entertaining to watch them defensively, with the likes of Lois Lau, who was driving his team forward to try and stop them. And they were almost on the 5th touch before they'd even passed the halfway mark, which makes such a massive difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so what we're seeing now is we're seeing Tom Hall really work up. He's leaving the Link behind a little bit. Now, so all of a sudden there's the 5th touch, so you'll be looking for CSSC. So Tom Hall is up. He's identified his Link. All of a sudden, now the push goes out. You see all of a sudden they just flooded up. Now that's the 5th touch, so they know that Oxford, that they don't have to worry about the getting back to the referee. But next set of 6 is it'll be we'll keep an eye out in terms of how they're running their defence.
Well, now CSSC, attacking-wise, try to advance forward over the halfway line now, with Tom Hall involved and looking to try and find Henry Stratford as well. Back into the middle along with Simpson, and looking to go through, and he sells the dummy. It was George Miller, and they go through, and CSSC extend that lead. He just completely sold his man there, and he goes through, and they are 3 up after 9 minutes.
Yeah, you're talking earlier on about Oxford. They brought players in from different clubs, and in situations like that where you're scrambling back against a team that's attacking at pace, that's where you need to have players around you who you've played with a lot, because then you know how they're going to defend. You can talk, your communication can be less in terms of the numbers of words that you're talking about. So just going back to the defence now. So Chris Wall is up. They've got a flat set of 6 at the minute. So they've sent 2 up on the shooter on this. Now they've only got, so you've got Colin Scott and Chris Wall in the middle, and they're passing it off to one to the other. So they've conceded a penalty in that situation. But you saw that they were both up, and you could see them talking to each other because the Oxford had got 2 players up in the middle, and so it's eliminating Oxford's options to try and get in behind that first player.
Well, Oxford, can they try and find a way through this stubborn defence so far, looking to try and weave their way through? Yeah, just couldn't try and find the angle. Jack Harris is there. Finds Luke Milson in the middle, gets it back to Harris, but that high line again, Colin Scott, and there we go, just being put under pressure and almost forcing them to make the mistakes as well. Yeah,
that was a little bit of, again, a little bit of lack of familiarity, and also they've had to work so hard against the CSSC attack. So they've had to, you can see it in their faces, starting to see it's an overcast day, but we're starting to see the scarlet faces come out after the first 10 minutes of really, really hard work. And, so that, and then those mistakes in attack start to happen.
So Colin Scott back with Tanner. And he goes through, referee.
Yeah, he's deemed that Luke Milson didn't make it back to the scoreline. So there's been a lot of, so you can see them we can see them having a bit of chat just out of a shot. But the referee would have called play through. I think Luke Milsom is saying that you weren't calling me back to tell me that I'm onside. But then on the flip side of that is that when you're at the goal line, you know perfectly well what your offside line is. You don't need to ask. 5 metres out, the offside line, even 6 or 7 metres out, the offside line is going to be the goal line. And you need to get both feet to it before you come back on. Even if you get 1 foot back, that's not enough. Got to be both feet. So there's no excuses for that.
Johnson now for Oxford. Can he try and work something over on that far side? It was a great take. And almost just slide tackles in. They still get the ball, Oxford. So back into the middle. Johnson linking up in the middle with Brunson. Trying to weave their way through, but the final touch.
So earlier on, in a previous defensive set, we'd seen Chris Wall and Colin Scott both go up in the middle. Because I think a lot of that was driven by Oxford having 2 players up who were maybe 3 metres apart. So you send 2 players up to shut it down so they can't get in behind. Then Tom Hall was up on his own, got in between the 2 middles who are immediately next to each other. So he can make the touch on one. If he passes, just the other hand comes out and you make the touch there. And that's exactly what happened in that situation. So similar situation, the defending subtly differently, just by a metre here or there. And that's to see that. And to be able for them to recognise that at this level, at that pace, is fantastic. I'm very, very impressed. If you can't tell.
Well, it's certainly been an absolutely clinical performance so far from CSSC, and I'm sure these 7 minutes for Oxford will feel like an absolute lifetime. And as CSSC tried to add another, Andrew Dyer involved, Henry Stratford going through the middle and almost just waltzing his way through. And that was as easy as you like for Henry Stratford. Probably one of the easier tries he'll ever score going through the middle of the pitch. And Oxford, is that, you were just obviously mentioning it before, is that maybe the Oxford obviously not playing with players they're familiar with defensively?
Yeah, and also is that what we talk about an awful lot over these competitions is how in the 40-minute games you condition a team into what you're going to do. What CSSC have managed to do is condition in 12 minutes Oxford to have absolutely no idea what they're going to do next, because Henry Stratford has the ability to get it wide. We've seen the way that they've scored. They've gone wide. They've played, they've played good attacking touch, and Oxford are just looking at that going, I have no idea what he's going to do. And as a result, he's just with a little show and going, a little swerve of the hips, he's through. And it's a very good. They've shrugged off that disappointment from Scorpions really, really well, and unfortunately for Oxford, are taking it out on them. Yeah,
they've really sort of taken it to him, haven't they? And it's beginning to show. Chris Wall now with Colin Scott, he nicely picks it up, trying his team on. Oh, this is superb play from CSSC. Scott to Chris Wall and finished off by Will Simpson. That was as slick and as stylish of a score as you're ever going to see. Chris Wall just almost knew what he was going to do before he'd received the ball.
Yeah, Jack Harris there in the link position was caught. He just was struggling to get back to the onside line because Chris was he wasn't the half. He'd received the ball. He could score. So the winger, they've attacked the player who's offside. The winger has to come in to stop Chris scoring, and then after that, it's just no panic. Little offload to Will Simpson for the score. You know, just a bit of everything really in terms of how to attack.
Johnson trying to get his team back onto the scoreboard. Stubborn defence. Andrew Dyer just getting the touch in. Oxford just almost slowing things down a lot, just trying to maybe work an angle on that. Is that just the confidence maybe feeling just a bit? It's certainly taken out of them, obviously, these first 15 minutes. Yeah,
I would say it's their first game of the day. So CSSC have got the 20 minutes under their belt against a high calibre opposition. They're a high calibre team themselves, and so they're well into the groove. So Oxford are starting cold, which is not ideal for starters. But also it's just, you know, they're working hard. The mistakes are coming in.
There was a very, very nice take from Tanner, and he just weaved around his man, and that's the 7th on the board, and that was the space just seemed just to open up on that far side.
Yeah, that's just, you know, what I was talking about before. You as a defender, when you're scrambling, you know, what CSSC are not doing anything too complicated. They're throwing a few different moves, so you don't know if they're going to drive through the middle at you. You don't know if they're going to come through to the link situation. In this situation, you need, as a defending team, to be very, very fluid and to be able to adapt to what's coming at you. That only comes, as I said before, that only comes about when you play together a lot at this level. And, as you say, Oxford have not. That said, a fantastic score there. Luke Milsom, you know, we'll see it, you know, he just... So he's just flicked it off. Yeah, that's a lovely bit of play there, because and you can see he's really happy with himself. He's faked to go on his right, and that's drawn up the CSSC defence to shut that play down, and then he's just offloaded, and then he's recognised that's not going to happen, and then offloaded it to the free man on the left-hand side as well. So, you know, lovely, but it's really good to see Oxford keep their heads up and really keep attacking. They'll take a lot from that, and hopefully they'll take an awful lot from this game as well, in terms of hope they'll view it as a learning curve, not as you know, that hopefully they won't view it too negatively, because they've been undone by a very good CSSC performance.
And here comes CSSC once again. Tom Hall involved back inside, looking to go out wide. Space opening up. George Miller just having to be checked back. That defence from Oxford just being stretched. Atkins back into the middle. Here is Dyer, finds it back into the middle and looks at Tom Hall. Dyer now makes up the yard. Some space really now opening up. Atkins is to the left, but Dyer goes alone. Needs that support, and the touch comes in.
Yeah, Isaac, our cameraman, was asking me earlier on about that kind of play and why he couldn't score. He is the half, so he can't score, so he's looking for support. In that situation, you know, you need your wingers and your links to work themselves free along the goal line and just create so that the runner can then find them. As a defending team, you can kind of let him go, and you then concentrate on who you're going to defend, because you know that he can't score. And then at the point where you've got everybody covered, that's the point where you can then shut them down. And just on that situation there, CSSE just weren't able to work themselves free. The wingers just didn't come off.
Well, CSSC now started from the back, just under 90 seconds left. They've got the win in the bag, but I'm sure they'd love to try and even add another one to that scoreline. Chris Wall and George Miller just getting tangled up over on that far side, but they get the ball out onto the halfway line, back inside on just a loose touch, and the ball switched over back to Oxford. Harris in the middle. Johnson Harris over the 10-metre mark, and Oxford themselves just pick up another one. The referees brought it back, and turnover, so under a minute remaining. And looking to advance themselves. Here's Michaels linking up Simpson back into the middle. Now with Henry Stratford. Simpson back into Chris Wall. Chris Wall making the yards up. Simpson getting it back. Wall back now. It just has to be check back himself and goes back into a more central position. Here's Henry Stratford spacing up. George Miller goes through, and that is another beautiful try from CSSC, and that caps off a pretty clinical and full-flowing performance.
Oxford's, as we hear the hooter just go in the background just to end the day, I think if there's one thing for Oxford to work on is to not be so passive in defence, is that they're letting the teams run at them as opposed to really working to get in their face. I think if they, from this, is they will need, and they've got a tough challenge coming up against Scorps in a second, London Scorpions in a minute. Hello, Will. Will Saracol's just waved up at us. He's been a familiar voice over the course of the last couple of competitions. But they need to get in Scorp's faces over the next 20 minutes and to try and shut them down. Easier said than done, because as we saw in the first game, Scorpions have got a very, very slick attack through the middle, but it's the only way you're going to get on top of them is to try and force the mistake. If they then happen to go around to the outside of you, then that's okay. But really, just so what I was talking about before with CSSE's attack and having the one, sometimes two, or even three players going up, you know, Oxford just need to let's just throw three people up and just work really, really, really hard and to try and contain the Scorps attack.
So that brings an end to our second game of the day, and like I said, we've got another absolute belter for you coming next. So Oxford will be taking on London Scorpions, who already have one win under their belt against CSSC. Don't go anywhere. The England Touch Rugby still continues throughout the day. Lots of brilliant games coming up. Our next one is Oxford against London Scorpions men's. That's coming up very shortly. So here we go this morning, back underway here in Oxford. They're coming quick and fast as the London Scorpions are taking on Oxford. London Scorpions looking for their second win of the morning. Clark Hobson going forward, and they look like they've got to the perfect start, and it'll be 15 seconds. Absolutely superb stuff from the Scorps, and they mean business already after that opening win. I know that is probably one of the quickest scores of the weekend.
That's created by Clark Hobson having the ability to get the ball wide. And because of that, and we've seen it all the way through the course of the year so far, playing for BBR in the mixed competition, but also as that Oxford would have seen him play for Scorpions. And because he's got the ability to go wide, as soon as he shapes to go, you've got to be prepared for it to come. And he holds back and then just the little pops the offload. So fantastic bit of skill from this. It's down to his all-round ability and the skill to be able to read what's in front of him and then take and capitalise on it.
Ball sent out wide. Can Oxford reply straight away?
Yeah, there was not a massive amount Oxford could do about that. You know, I was talking earlier on about Oxford needing to get into Scorp's faces. And regardless of what happened against CSSC in the last game, you know, you can't, you just can't legislate for that. That's one of those things.
Here, London Scorpions, Sam Missink just intercepting that final pass.
Yeah, no professional tap downs. So it's just a turnover. It's not a penalty.
Jack Harris taking his time, putting the ball to his face, looking to try and get a message across, try and get something organised. Here's Luke Milson back into the middle. Milson looked to go right, but shapes to go left. He did something similar in the game we've just seen against CSSC, but just on the line. Milson gets it back. He has to go from left to right. Back into the middle. Milson jinks left and opts to go to the other way. Going through the middle at the moment. Oxford maybe just trying to wait for that option to go out wide and create the space. And there it comes. That covering defence just putting in the pressure. It was Will Sericol over on that far side, and that nullifies any attack.
Luke Milson had the right idea with that in terms of trying to get the ball wide. What he lacked was the power that we see from the real top level. So Clark Hobson, I mentioned earlier on, Dom Tripp when he's here, Sam Missin, who's just coming off the field in that attack there, have got the ability to get it from the middle out to the wide. So that's a good, as I say, there's a good 30 metres. That, because that pass died after about 15, means that Scorpions, can defend tight. So it then puts more pressure. So to go back to what I was talking about before in the previous game about the conditioning, is that you'll very quickly pick up if the middle's got the ability to get it wide, in which case then you have to defend wider, and that then opens space up for the people to come through the middle. So Scorps had done that for the first score because Oxford knew from yesterday that Clark Hobson could do that. So it opened it up. What Oxford need to do quickly is to have one of those go to hand, which will then open up the space in the middle for to go through, because that will just create that extra 2 metres.
Well, attack fizzles out, and it was Brunson in the middle along with Massey. And now the Scorpions can try and drive on themselves inside their own half. Over the halfway line they come. Clark Hobson running onto it on the 10-metre line. Here's Lynch as well, linking up nicely. Hobson laying off back to Roberts. Roberts looks to go for the line himself. He had Clark Hobson to the right, and that was nicely played by Roberts. And Clark Hobson also having the effect of being there on the right-hand side, looking to anticipate that pass, just selling that dummy, and Roberts just weaves his way through, and the Scorpions are now at 2 up.
Rolling defence. They're letting Scorps come at them. They need to slam the brakes on with that and work almost, and that sets the stall out deep in Scorps' half. From those, when Scorpions start with the possession deep in their own half, you've just got to work really, really hard. You've got to make Scorpions work hard for their meters. At the minute, Scorpions can just come on and they're a bit more relaxed, and then it just causes problems, and that's a really simple score through the middle. That's one of those ones where you hate conceding it because it's straightforward. The previous one through the middle, okay, that's one of those things created by fantastic skill. That's a disappointing score to concede from Oxford.
Looking to try and rectify things. Johnson with the pass out wide, but it's just dies short. But a opportunity here for Oxford, a fresh set of 6. Hammond now with Johnson. Hammond is now to the right, Massey to the left. Here is Hammond, lays it back off to Johnson. Just has to take a few steps back as the pressure of this defence, of this wall from London Scorpions, as Massey looks to try and go through himself. But the touch comes in, Sam Missing is there. It just seems very slow and a bit lethargic at the moment from Oxford. They need to try and up the tempo if they want to try and get anything out of this game, looking to try and break through this London Scorpions defence.
I'm harking on about it. Those two situations, they've let Scorps come straight at them. They're not forcing Scorps to play. Scorps are allowed to play. Or they are, they are. So you see, all of a sudden, Scorpions have been getting in the faces of, now Oxford are running a subs move, so Scorpions can get back. But all of a sudden, you see, there's 1, 2, 3 players up. You're forcing Oxford to do. What's happening with Oxford is they're coming back and coming back and coming back, and it's easy meters for Scorpions to make. You just can't do that against a team that's as slick as this are. And we saw it with, as we saw it against CSSC as well. You have to force them to work hard.
Yeah, CSSC really drove up the field, and almost they couldn't even got on some occasions. They were onto the 5th touch still in their own half, which just makes a massive difference.
Of course, it's easier said than done. It's very easy up in the gantry to say that. I know from experience that you absolutely bust. You really do bust a gut. You come off absolutely blowing, and it's very, very hard to put into practice. All of a sudden, though, now we've seen them work a little bit harder. And Scorps, now they're on the front foot, but it's on the 5th touch, 40 metres out from the line. 35 metres out from the line. They've got a penalty now, but Scorps were never going to score from that because they'd got 20 metres further up. They were in Scorpions' faces. They'd sent 2 up, even though it was in front of Scorpions' sub-box. They're forcing Scorpions to come in from behind the play and making them work hard for their metres. And it's just unfortunate they did concede a penalty in that situation, but the intent was really, really good, and that's their best defensive set so far.
Hobson now looking to go out wide. Lovely take from Will Serecold, and he dives in, and well, he adds another one to his personal tally. He got one in the opening game. He got 6 in one game yesterday. So he is on top form at the moment.
Considering he's coming back from an ankle injury, that's not too shabby. Although he was saying to me yesterday, it's the thing that he's doing is he running straight up is running straight up and down is what he's able to do. Is that going laterally is a little bit. Still, building up the strength to do that. But, it's definitely the scoring rate. He's, as I say, definitely not too shabby.
Brunson now laying it off onto the 5-metre mark. He gets it back, looks to try and get through.
So that's a good setup from Oxford there. Is that they flood the channel to the left. And then come back the other way. So they're just trying to push... To trying to create that space for Scorpions, or trying to create that space through the Scorpions midfield. So they're doing the principle's in the right way. They just need to execute it a little bit better.
And here come London Scorpions, trying to work something through the middle. Sam Missing involved with Scott as well. Sam Missing going through, that's the 6th and final touch, so nothing comes of that one. But Sam Missing and Scott just linking up quite nicely in the middle. Hammond now with Johnson working well. Over the halfway line, just a slip. We saw a couple of Cambridge players yesterday slipping over there. Wonder if they've decided to change footwear in light of that. Here's Luke Milson, Samuel Massey is to the right. Massey back inside to Milson, just have to check back a couple. Milson, lovely footwork from the young man, but he's stopped, and that's the final touch. So turnover, and Scorpions can now start an attack of their own from the back. And this is a bit better from the Oxford, actually driving up the field, trying to stop them early doors, although, of course, look at the experience and the pace of this Scorpions attack. Clark Hobson linking up Sam Missing so well, as they always seem to do. They did so in the first game of the day. Here is Sam Missing. forces the touch. He gets it back, and it's just brilliant all-round play from London Scorpions. Lovely link-up. And the Scorpions, well, they take full control of this game. Clark Hobson and Sam Missing linking up really well. And Scorpions, well, they're 4 up after 10. So as you can see, Jack Harris now onto the field for Oxford. He looks to try and get things underway. And here's Johnson. Harris is there for that support. Brunson also there. Johnson stopped. Good pressure again from London Scorpions. Roberts applying that pressure. Brunson almost hasn't got anywhere to go. Johnson back into Brunson. Space opening up on that far side. And that is a score for Oxford, and just what they need. Is it? The referees bring it back.
Referees brought it back. I'm not entirely sure why, but actually I think it's a little bit of obstruction I think he's giving in midfield. But that said, is that Oxford had got away with one there, because in the middle the half had picked up and hadn't passed the ball and then took a touch, and so it should have been a turnover in midfield. So had Oxford scored, that that would have been a getting away with one. But what we saw there, even just passive, was Scorpions forcing Oxford to try and make a play. Now that's definitely gone forward, I think, for a forward pass. But what you saw there is just the way that Scorpions have just come out, arms out, forcing Oxford to make a choice and just cutting down their options. And this is what I mean in terms of being more aggressive and knowing when abouts to be aggressive in defence.
So 12 minutes on the dot, gone, 8 remaining. Can Oxford just get on the scoreboard? Sam Massey now with Milson in support. That's the final touch. Referee signalling, and it's turnover back with Scorpions. And again, looking to try and get on the front foot. Some fresh faces coming on, forcing the touch there. Over the halfway line to go, Sam Missing. Linking it with Scott in the middle. Scott with Sam Missing. Sam Missing just hop, skip and a jump, trying to weave his way through.
He makes that look so easy, that scoop, at pace and the acceleration. And, and it's created that score as Oxford are not happy for whatever reason. There's a good bit of chat going on in the midfield. I don't think this is a score, actually. I think this is just it's going to be we'll see what. Yeah, so it's a penalty restart, but he just makes it. It's brilliant, because this time last year is that he was doing that kind of play, but not at that pace and not at that slickness. He's really developed as over the course of the winter with training and playing with England, with a mixed open.
And here comes Scorpions in again. And the referee signalling, and Scorpions had another one. That just seems so simple. And their defence, they just seem a bit deflated at the moment, Oxford. I'm sure they'll try and keep coming and coming again to try and get back onto the board as we look again on the replay. Yeah,
that's just Luke Milsom. So what they've done is they've attacked Luke Milsom, who's made the touch. They know that even though they're tracking back on the same line that he's running, is that he can't make the touch until he get back to the goal line. You dive early, you get underneath, and then it's going to take some proper Inspector Gadget arms to make the touch in that situation. Unfortunately for Luke, is that he just got beaten to the line.
Jinking left and right, looking for the line. Touch comes in, and it was Matthew Clark there, just getting in front of his man. Here's Harris now, trying to go through the middle, just makes him a few yards. Looking to go wide. It's a slow lofted pass, which gives Scorpions the time to get across and stop any attack from happening. And just with over 5 minutes remaining, the London Scorpions well on their way for 2 wins this morning. And looking to try and add more as well, and they're still in full flow, lots of confidence. energy level still so high. Conway. Lynch lays it back off. Sam missing, linking up with Scott in the middle.
So that was good defence there from Sam Missing, but what we saw there from the Scorps was there was no panic in terms of they knew what they were going to do. Whereas what we saw at the other end of the field is that Oxford didn't really know what they were going to do in that situation. You know, it's just as far as the the Scorps were concerned there. Okay, right, fine. What's my option? Quick left, right. No, I'll take the touch, and we'll just get cracking.
Sam Missing now, being patient, trying to find a teammate, work the angle. Good defence, although space now opening up on that far side. Will Sericol, surely this will be as easy as you like for that the winger, and he gets another one, and he's just waiting, watches it like a hawk straight into his hands, knows where the line is, and Will Sericol adds another one.
Yeah, how that's been created is a lot of the play that's gone before. So Oxford have conceded a few through the middle. As a result, they are then shutting their defence tight. So to try and force Scorps to go through more traffic. What that then does is that then leaves your wingers unmarked, and when you've got as a coach, as a player, you know, you're saying, okay, if they score around the outside of us, they score around the outside of us, but force them to go wide. Of course, then when a team has the ability to go wide, as Scorps do, that's when you then concede. But that's been created, as I say, by everything that's gone before it.
So Scorpions inside their own half still, but Oxford looking at signs of trying to get defensively, drive up the field a bit more. And turnover in possession for Oxford. Yeah,
now they'll restart with a penalty. You've got to play the ball where you get touched, and Scorps were over the mark by a couple of metres there. So referee Geordie Bitlot's called that back, and you know, it's a good opportunity for them. And as I say, Oxford are doing everything right in terms of the gameplay. You know, they're looking to pull Scorpions one way to cramp the defence. We can see 2 for 5 Scorpions in one half of the field, which then opens up space on Oxford's left. What they've then done is they've come right, whereas all of a sudden Oxford then had 3, and you had a 3-on-2 situation on the left-hand side. So that play could have should have gone to the other way. But so they're doing everything right in terms of creating the space. But like I said before, against CSSC, we saw them undone in defence because maybe a lack of familiarity in attack. You know, that's then the same things then applying, but with the ball in hand, because you know, three slick passes or 2 slick passes, and you've then put Scorps under a massive amount of pressure if not scored.
Missing, linking up well. Scott looking missing, trying to go out wide. Conway, he just couldn't juggle the ball into his hands. They're just having a right smile to themselves. It was just couldn't quite believe he couldn't clutch onto that one on the wing. And Oxford get away with it, and they get away with a pass spinning on their own goal line there as they manage just to cling on as they come from their own half with 90 seconds remaining. Johnson over the 10-metre line. Jack Harris now running on from the subs box, crosses the halfway. Space maybe potentially opening up on this near side. Luke Milson is there. Oh, just couldn't pick the ball up, just couldn't scoop it, running onto it with momentum. And turnover now.
I think that just illustrates how good Sam Missing is at that.
Absolutely, running onto pace. You can just see how, well, like I said, just how hard a skill it is when you're running at full speed. And here comes Clark Hobson. Hobson laying up to Scott with Samuel Missing. Space opening up again for Will Sericold. And he gets another. So that's 3 for Will Sericold. He's having some weekend.
He is. And I think that's just made by, as I say, Oxford are defending in a solid way. But then what that then means is that they haven't just been able to recognise what Scorps are about to do when they've gone wide, and they've, you know, just Will is just hugging, and we saw this on this side with Justin as well. So they're hugging the touch lines really well to give themselves that space. Justin dropped the ball, greasy hands first thing on a Sunday morning, maybe, don't know, perfectly dry, so you never know. But whereas Will on the far side, you know, there's nothing. All they're doing is they're making themselves target men. It's kind of almost the equivalent of goal hanging. But then you've got to be put in, and like I say, it's that what Scorps have got is that ability in the midfield to know who to drive at, know when to pass, when to keep it. And we'll hear the who to go in just not a massive amount of time, I'm sure. Time's up on our unofficial clock.
Scorps looking to see if they can add another one before the hooter. Back inside, Roberts linking up with Lynch over on that. Roberts and Lynch just linking up in the middle. And looking to go out wide, trying to find Justin Conway. Couldn't cling on to a opportunity earlier, but the ball just doesn't get to him in time.
Yeah, so the referees have called time up, so I don't know quite what. We'll find out why the hooter hasn't gone. But that's a good Scorpions, so it's a sense of anticlimax, really. But Scorpions will be very, very satisfied with how they've done that. I think Oxford showed a few more signs of aggressive defence, which they'll look to build on going forward into the course of the day. But as far as that's what they really again need to work on going forward, and forcing. And just forcing the teams they play to, to try and work around them as opposed to, they need to try and force. Sorry, in their opponent's half, they need to force them to make hard yards and to not get caught into situations where Scorpions ultimately were finding it a little bit too easy to score.
Well, that brings an end then to our third game of the day, and we'll move swiftly on as London Scorpions are in action once again back-to-back, and they'll be playing Galaxy London. That'll be our next game in the men's side of things, so do stick with us. Our next game is also set to be an absolute belter this morning. So yes, our next game will be London Scorpions taking on Galaxy London. That's next. So there goes the hooter, and we move on to our fourth game of the morning. London Scorpions taking on Galaxy London. Scorpions back-to-back games for them, and our first look at Galaxy London men's on day 2. And Scorpions looking to try and get off to the perfect start. Clark Hobson going out wide. Justin Conway, and again, probably nailed on 15 seconds again, and they get off to the perfect start.
Yes, we saw in the previous game, and Galaxy might have seen that. We saw in the previous game Clark Hobson's ability to go wide, create the score in the middle. That time, it was his ability to go wide that created the score, because Galaxy had flooded that midfield. There were 4 defenders in front of him, and only 1 out wide. And that, that's a good. That's the one thing that you don't get watching from the sideline is how far that is. I mean, that's a good 25. That's a 25-metre pass that could have gone 30, given how fast it was fizzing. Justin caught that above his head. It's an immense amount, fantastic ability and skill. If you're watching at home and working on a skill, that is the one really to work on, because then that creates space for everything else. So really work on your core, get some medicine balls up against the wall, just work on that just off the hip, and then practice it in training. And you don't even have to do the scoop first, just that ability just to go to fling it.
Looking, trying to spread the ball out wide. It's over on that far side. It was Durrani. Just couldn't cling on. And Galaxy London looking to try and respond. They're a good outfit, this Galaxy London side. It should be a really intriguing matchup. Scorpions getting off to the perfect start with Clark Hobson and Justin Conway linking up. And Conway's just on this near side. He's got the ball in hand now with Clark Hobson driving on forward. He comes off, and Roberts now laying off to Davis. Now with Lynch. Over the 10-metre mark they go. Roberts now picks up the ball from him. Look to try and find Lynch. Needs the support. Oh, and gets it. And that's a well-worked try. And the Scorpions are in full flow after their win against Oxford, and they are looking in fine form.
Yeah, that was created by the dummy run coming in. And then what that's done is that's forced the defender just to slow up a little bit. And again, we saw, I think it was the CSSC game against Scorps, how there's just a little half pace too far created the space. And that dummy run forced the link defender just to hold his run just for a second on the cover, and created the opening for the score out in the wide position. So some really nice play by somebody who didn't even touch the ball.
Wow, look at this from Scorpions. They've just got so much confidence now going back into the centre. Lynch Davis linking up with Roberts. Roberts looking to go right. He just holds his pass and finds Davis, who almost bends his run round to get towards the goal line. He gets the touch from Joseph Gage. And Lynch looking to try and find around. Durrani's there to try and stop any attack from happening. And the Galaxy London hold out, and now they can form an attacking opportunity of themselves over on that far side. Maybe trying to get some new players on, run a sub move, and over the 10-metre mark they go over the halfway line, driving forward. Durrani lays it back off to Scott with his colourful cap on. He seems to mix it up every time we see him, but he's got his yellow, green and yellow cap mix on, and looking to go forward now, looking to try and spread the ball out wide and going back inside now. This is patient build-up. Here's that speedy run wing I'd say. He plays all around the park, does Miles Partridge, but the loop pass goes to no one, and the attack fizzles out.
Yeah, plays wing for England, but is very much in the ball-playing position for Galaxy today. Camille Shahabdeen as well. He's adds something a little bit different to the Galaxy team. He's part of the Bristol Fijians club, but has been guesting for Galaxy in the elite competitions this year at club level.
Scott coming forward with Samuel Missing. Samuel Missing looking for that support. Finds Justin Conway on this near side.
Really good cover defence there on Sam Missing. That was that diving touch right at the end of the end zone. That's a proper flowing movement there.
Over the 10-metre mark, Scott now. So Chut's just coming on the line then, stopping from the Scorpions going any further. On comes Will Serracold. Already a couple of scores to his name this morning. Clark Hobson, Sam Missing is just to the left of him. Hobson gets it back, looks to go fine, missing, but goes himself. And that's the final touch. Good defence from Galaxy London. And you can already see straight away they're trying to get themselves up the field. And the momentum here is Eric Williams, experienced campaigner of Durrani, with him almost just getting in the way of Eric Williams. Here is Scott now. Just arcing his runner slightly. Here's Miles Partridge. If he gets in full flow, he can be so dangerous as he makes up the yards already. Scott. Aberdeen now. More central. And just fizzes it into the chest of Miles Partridge. And, well, that would have been some take if he could have hold of that and dived for the line, but couldn't do so on this occasion.
Strange fact about Eric Williams is that
well, he's full of facts.
Yeah, he's a proper fanboy for the BBC newsreaders. He has a shrine at home. I believe it's Hugh Edwards at the top, as always, as you'd imagine. You know, Hugh being the consummate professional and spearhead of the BBC News setup. But you know, with but Hugh's obviously surrounded by the likes of Kate Silverton and Michelle Hussein as well, and but he's got this proper shrine up at home to the BBC News crew.
Well, he was rattling on the facts, out the facts yesterday, wasn't he? With players when you were watching the Cambridge CSSC game yesterday, as Scorpions look to try and add another. Looking to go through himself, looking for that support. Can they find it? Clark is there. Conway just getting shut down, and Nye Davis was actually just coming in, and that out of nowhere, Nye Davis just suddenly weaved and sneaked through a couple of players. Let's have another look on the replay of this. Nye Davis just coming into your picture now, just out of nowhere, and Scott was actually trying to follow him behind him, but couldn't get there in time, and that is the third score.
Yeah,
Scorpions.
Nye Davis. Sorry, Brad. Nye Davis just went past. Shane Scott did a diving touch, diving attempt, and missed. And then all of a sudden, Nye Davis has then got a lot of time at the back of the end zone. And you saw the way that Galaxy defended that initially really, really well. But because Shane had to get up off the ground, is that when the supporting runner did come, is that Shane's a metre behind him. And that then created the score.
Ollie Taylor now, Eric Williams picking up the ball. Now back in with Williams on. That was absolutely lovely from Galaxy London, and the confirmed try there, Joseph Gage, but that was a superb play from Eric Williams. Yeah,
he's got a shrine to the BBC News crew on his wall, but that was absolutely, people should be looking at that as something to follow. That was a lovely bit of skill. No panic. Everything went back. Hands went backwards, the most important thing, and to have to know where the support is, and for the score. So good score by Galaxy. They needed that after the way that Scorps have played in this opening half of this 20-minute match. And, they can build on that going into the second part. So, obviously, this is their first game of the day. And, they're all of a sudden, they're now clicking into it. And you can see the pace they're putting onto their attack.
Eric Williams now. Just a bit clustered over there as they try and bring some new players on. Here's Scott now coming from the subs box. Durrani's just there picking up the ball. Now back over on the halfway line. Miles Partridge already got his speedy legs on now. Almost too quick for Aberdeen, but he picks it up. Miles Partridge just almost faster than his whole team, and ball spread over to that far side. Durrani, does he get the touch in? Yes, he does. So good defensive work from Will Serracold to stop Durrani from going in.
Oh, fantastic defence from Serracold there. That was really outstanding play. From in terms of when you're watching at home, the way that Miles attacks. Miles is a tall guy. He's well over 6 foot. So what he's done is as he's accelerated into the touch, he's got down low. He's initiated the touch on the attack and accelerated into it, and then put the ball down and stepped over it. So what he's done is he's reduced he's obviously reduced the distance between where he's carrying the ball and the ground by that good 4 to 6 inches, which then makes all the difference for Camille to then run onto. It's just that it happened, as you say, happened so quick. It was just almost too quick for Camille to do. But fantastic build-up play by Galaxy. And then awesome defence by Will Serracold to cover.
Here is Miles Partridge.
So you see what I mean on that? Is that all of a sudden his back is parallel to the ground as he's gone into that. So it's almost a classic, rugby union way of attacking, of taking contact, of driving through and forcing the opposition to have to make a play.
Williams in, link up with Taylor, the high fives, they're happy. And so they should be. They've got another one on the board and they've reduced that gap suddenly to 1 point. Ollie Taylor and Eric Williams linking up. It was Williams who now is the scorer instead of the provider. And they looked happy with that one, didn't they?
Created one, scored one. Eric Williams is in the mood this morning.
He certainly is. Just over 9 minutes then remaining, and we've got a game on our hands here. This is absolutely scintillating stuff this morning. Here's Sam Missing laying off to Hobson, the on-running Scots. Hobson laying back off to Sam Missing, little hop, skip and a jump. Going to try and weave his way through. An important touch, though, stopping him getting any further. But still opportunity here for London Scorpions. Sam Missing now back into the centre. Hobson along with Scott, and Jones is just in your picture as well to the left. Hobson looks to go himself. Picked up by Jones. Brilliant stuff from the London Scorpions. It almost looked like how he got through 3 Galaxy players and it just suddenly just whipped over to Sam Jones. Took it and as easy as you like. How has he just managed to get that ball through? Absolutely through I have a needle stuff.
That was a long pass dummy, a short pass dummy, and then an actual mid-range pass. You know, he's got a bigger passing range than Louis Figo. If you remember back in the day.
I do. Yeah, he's absolutely superb stuff.
Because he can do it off both hands as well. It's just that he happens to be doing it off his right in that situation. But, you know,
we're seeing the best of both worlds from Clark Hobson this morning, and it's really exciting and scintillating stuff to watch. Here's Miles Partridge. Can they try and reduce that gap again? Looped off pass, but Will Serecold is there once again. Defensive cover as soon as that ball was received, the touch was made and stopping any attack from happening. Shabadee now back into the middle of Scott. Scott laying it off. Miles Partridge is there to the right. Partridge will get it and lay it back off to Scott on the 5 metre. Partridge looking to try and find his man, sells the dummy back to Shabadee and goes in himself. And touch just on the line.
Yeah, it's good play by the winger there to know that he's not going to score and then to pass it back and force Serecold to play at it. Oh, that's one of those things where there's a lot of good familiarity between Shane Scott and Camille Shahabdeen from the mixed competition, but also from England where they played together in the mixed open team in the World Cup. But on that situation, they did everything right, and he just was a little bit, the timing of the run was just a little bit off. Otherwise, they'd have been in. What we've seen from Scorpions at the other end is their timing for that situation has been spot on. And it's, as I say, the fine margins would have, you know, that keeps the margin at 2. And in a 20-minute game, you need for those scores to come off.
Oh, lovely from Clark Hobson, trying to almost like a volleyball pass. And tried to find Justin Conway on this near side. It was very, very close to pulling it off, Clark Hobson. But Galaxy London can start from the back. Here's Shahabdeen now driving over the 10-metre mark with Scott. Miles Partridge, can he get his roadrunner legs going over the over the halfway line? And stopped in his tracks, turnover in possession.
That was a bit more of a Wile E. Coyote Acme malfunction, though, how that ended up. But it's the way that Miles, you know, his just ability to attack the space, you know, through the middle at pace, and then through that pace, then just clear space for the runner to come in behind for a scoop and to then be in support. You know, it's just a fantastic ability. Makes him out as one of the more unique players within the setup. You don't see many players play in the middles like he does. His finishing ability out wide is sensational as well.
Yeah, he really is one of the standout players to watch. He just suddenly, in the blink of an eye, just turns on the afterburners. You can almost just see the dust coming up from behind as he gets his legs going. But here is London Scorpions with another opportunity to try and see if they can stem that lead. Here's Clark Hobson, Sam Missing and Hobson linking up really nicely. Hobson looking to try and go alone. Good pressure from Joseph Gage on the line. He gets back in time. And here is Clark Hobson once again. Sam Missing just having to be brought back a couple with Scott just to the left. Missing linking up. Is he going to go wide? He opts not to. Eric Williams gets the touch in.
The other impressive thing about Sam Missing is not just his ability in terms of with the skill aspect of like the accelerating and the scoop and things like that and his range of passing. It's the option taking. So it's knowing. So what we've seen from Clark Hobson and then Sam Missin in successive plays is knowing when not to pass, knowing when you've got touches in hand, and knowing when to take them and when to use them. You know, so a 50-50 ball doesn't have to be, or a 30-70 ball, knowing when to not send it, and that's that game understanding is absolutely crucial at this
Is that
level.
something he's really improved on in the last year, Sam Missing?
He's really improved all round. I think there's all aspects of his play, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him at Junior Touch Championships in a few weeks' time out in Paris. And you know, he's going to be one of those leaders of the mixed 18s when he's the mixed 18s group.
And here is that man, Sam Missing, looking at Scott. He looks to go right, but then still goes right as he looked to. He sold me as he was looking to go left. It opts to get over to that far side. Sam Missing back into Scott. Scott's just trying to weave his way through under pressure from Miles Partridge, who gets the touch in. Sam Missing forces a touch from Scott. Space potentially opening up. Nye Davis was just there waiting for the pass, but just behind him and just couldn't cling on. But still, opportunity here for London Scorpions. Sam Jones is over as we see some replacements coming on.
The other thing with Sam Missin is that, you know, we saw him, you know, he's developed with England, played all of his touch so far with Cambridge, and this year he's been invited into the Scorpion setup. Was chatting to his dad Justin yesterday, and you know, for his own development as a player, you know, it's got him out of his comfort zone at Cambridge. You know, what they've done is Cambridge have a pattern where they play a young middle with a more experienced middle. So Sam's younger brother Harry plays in the same group as John Lovell, who's a much more experienced player for the Cambridge Bees, and Sam will play alongside Ben Powell a lot in the middle. So, and Ben's one of the most experienced players. By coming to Scorpions, he's now all of a sudden got a lot more weight. There's a lot more expectation of him having to try and make the plays, and that's really, really good for his development to see as well.
Scorpions just trying to go over the line once again, still leading by 4 points to 2. 2.5 minutes remaining. Maybe another score would just kill the game off. As Clark Hobson comes on, and just seeing Roberts just coming off the field, just holding his looks like his hamstring. Nye Davis that's the final touch, so turnover. And if they want to try and somehow salvage this, a mistake from Galaxy. What opportunity this is for London Scorpions to kill the game off. Davis into Clark Hobson, who slows things right down.
Scorpions ended their play, ended their attack in exactly the right place. Really, absolutely genuinely. You always say try and finish it on the 5 metre line, as far away from the opposition sub box as possible. That's what they did, and with the turnover play, is that that's when Galaxy put the foot into touch as you're getting the pass away, and all of a sudden Scorps, as you say, that's killed the game off with 1.5 minutes to play.
Matthew Clark going over the line to get one himself, so 90 seconds on our clock left to go. Eric Williams now just advancing forward. Ollie Taylor now is also there. Joseph Gage over the 10 metre line, looks to go left, but gets the touch instead, and now here's Ollie Taylor. Dummies it. Eric Williams is there in support. He's had a tremendous game himself, but the loose control there, and turnover and possession on their own 5 metre for London Scorpions with a minute to go. Sam Missing linking up over the 10 metre line. Lynch laying it off. Scott's Jones, and coming over the 10 metre in the Galaxy half this time around now. Scott laying it back off with Lynch. Scott gets it back. This is really lovely momentum, build-up play, and superb from the London Scorpions. And that has finished off a brilliant performance for the London Scorpions, and a brilliant morning they've had as well.
Yeah, straight down the middle from Scorps, straight up the guts of the Galaxy. Made Eric Williams work really, really hard in defence from one to the other. I think he made probably 4 out of those 5 touches, or certainly 3 out of those 5 touches. And although he was getting in the face of the attacker and slowing them down really well, what was then happening is that Scorps was still attacking their channel, or his channel, and were just still making those meters to go from one end of the field to the other.
Scott with Partridge is just there. Oh, the turnover, and going to go all the way through. Here is Will Sericolt, who had another. Scott is chasing him down on the hooter, and that is the final bit of play. Referee just confirms it for us, And that is full time. The Scorpions win comprehensively in the end, and they have had a superb morning here in Oxford. And another brilliant performance from the London Scorpions.
Yeah, I think it flatters them a little bit for margin difference, because I think Galaxy asked a lot of questions. Galaxy will come away knowing that they've left a couple out there. I think we saw especially there was the pass from the pass that didn't go to hand between Shane Scott and Camille Shahabdin, when there was the score was there. And that would have brought Galaxy back to a one-score deficit at that time. And ultimately, I think that was the crucial miss of that game, which then let Scorts off the hook. 3 would have been just, I think. 4 flatters them a little bit, but they still do deserve the win.
So we now move on to the women's side of things this morning. Our next game will see CSSC take on Galaxy London. We had a great start to the morning. We've already had 4 brilliant games in fact. And we'll see you in a couple of minutes as we move to the women's side. CSSC taking on Galaxy London comes next. So welcome back to Oxford as we move to the women's side now, and Galaxy London taking on CSSC, and Galaxy London from the tap off looking to try and get the opening score. Julia Unsworth trying to get it into Emily Rona-Roper. They were both up in the commentary box yesterday and giving their insights and thoughts, and they were two linking up straight away from the off. And turnover possession, and CSSC now can work their way up the field of Naomi Furnitz, Claire Waddle as well.
CSSC have been the team of the women's competition. They've been absolutely superb. And, we saw yesterday in the last game against London Scorpions, they just went through the gears and they know exactly how they're going to play. They're very slick and familiar as a group. And, they play in the same way as the men do. We see they've got the ball players in the middle. So whereas the men have Chris Wall, for example, the women have got Lois Lau. And, as I say, they play in exactly the same way. And they've carried on where they left off yesterday. So they opened the game up this morning. They've beaten Scorpions in a 20-minute game first thing, and then backed that up with a win over Thames Valley Vikings in their second. Galaxy, this is their second game of the morning after having drawn 3-3 with Scorpions in their previous game. They're missing this morning Marnie Wills, who is their key playmaker, and so it'll be interesting to see how they carry on without her, because she's the one who really makes things tick in the midfield and can help make the difference against a very experienced CSSC team.
Well, here come London Galaxy. Can they try and get off the mark and put some pressure on CSSC? Here's Sonia Lamb. Good touch from Kenzie McNaught, who got that breakaway score yesterday. And looking at their Twitter feed yesterday, that was her first score as well for CSSC. So a good day for McNaught. And she's defended that well. She has a luminous red cap on today. It's not going to be hard to spot her. And she's making a brilliant run. Look at this. Kenzie McNaught's looking to try and go all the way herself. And she was only stopped by Roland from London Galaxy. Lois Lau now onto the field. Just a loose pass into the middle. And turnover possession on the halfway. What a run that was.
Yeah, we saw Roland's pace in attack yesterday. And she really needed the same thing in defence. That's one of those ones where, in the ideal world, after having made that break, McNaught should have really, maybe in hindsight, could have slowed down a little bit and then accelerated into the touch, taking the touch with a defender behind who can then come through in a scoop. She can make herself available, and they'd have been right up on the Galaxy line. As it is, she just ran through the touch a little bit, had to come back, and it all slowed down. CSSC had then got away with one in terms of a mistake because the ball had hit the ground.
Waddle looked to try and find Cantwell, but it just dies in there in front of the goal line, and turnover. So scoreless after the opening couple of minutes. And here come Galaxy London, very tight to this touchline on this near side, getting closer and closer to their subs box as Rona-Roper now comes on. Sonia Lamb lays it off to her on inside their own 10-metre line. Over the halfway line they go. Julia Unsworth now. Julia Unsworth crossing over the 10-metre line. Rona-Roper is there to the right, but Unsworth gets it back. Space opening up on that far side, but just dies in front of her. And that opportunity once again. It's almost just that final pass that's just letting both sides down in the opening couple of minutes as we remain scoreless.
What's happening now from Galaxy is they've got in the faces of CSSC. So what we didn't see in the first game with Oxford when they were playing CSSC is they were letting them get over the halfway line and getting some momentum into the attack. Now all of a sudden, CSSC have had to take the fifth touch 35 metres out from the line, and now all of a sudden, that's good play from Lois Lau there, is that she would have heard the call from Jen Mitchell in terms of play through, and she was then forced, although she was the half, and then that would ordinarily have been a turnover, she was forced into the onside player's channel by an offside player, which is why the penalty was given.
Good covering defence from Roland on this near side.
But just to go back to what I was saying before, is that I think Galaxy's defence in the CSSC half was very, very good. And that's what they need to carry on doing. They can't afford to let CSSC get onto the front foot.
Yeah, they've certainly been one of the pick of the sides over the weekend, and when they get into full flow, it's almost impossible to stop. And they've just got an opportunity now, a couple of metres away from the goal line. Is Maxwell back into the centre of Lois Lau. Kenzie McNaught is there, just waiting in the wings. She gets the touch from Rona Roper. Kenzie McNaught, maybe some chance opening up on this near side. A covering defence once again, stopping that. Kenzie McNaught back into the centre. Lois Lau now with Maxwell. Maxwell waiting for that opportunity. Lois Lau gets it. Kenzie McNaught, this is really patient build-up, spreading this defence, although at the moment Galaxy London doing really well to stop anything coming through. Soaking up this pressure, and they do defend really well. And Galaxy London now having to start again from the back. Rona Roper now making that arcing run towards their own subs box. Really makes up some good yards towards the halfway line and bring on some fresh faces.
Yeah, just one fresh face in terms of as a player today. So I said they're missing Marnie Wills. What they've done is they've drafted in Jen Lee into the team. Now, she was here yesterday refereeing, and so she's come into the squad wearing the number 1 shirt. And she's a very, very experienced player. So she played Women's Opens at the European Championships and then at New South Wales State Cup. Won a bronze medal with the women's 27s at the World Cup, and she lives in Spain and commutes back over from Spain to play in England, but she plays a lot of sevens. She's a Spanish international at rugby sevens, and such a shame that didn't come off there. But to have her come into the squad, it's a fantastic addition for Galaxy today. So that'll offset the loss of Marnie quite a lot. Talked about great engines. Jen Lee's got a fantastic engine.
Julie Unsworth making it the yard. Sonia Lamb picks it up, but what an opportunity this is now for CSSC. 7 minutes gone, fresh set of 6, and still remains scoreless in what's been a very tight affair. Maybe just the last couple of passes from both sides, just letting them down. Here's Claire Waddle, advancing a few yards, gets it back from Naomi Ferner, and in comes CSSC, and that is the first score. And it's Raymond Blythe coming in, and good play from Naomi Ferner and Claire Waddle linking up, and the first score goes to CSSC.
Yeah, so Stacey Collins there came in, but I don't know whether she maybe not aware of where where her mid was, but that was her stepping in as the link, then opened the space for Keisha to go over for the score. We're now switching into touchdown turnaround for this game. So in the previous few games with the men's, we've seen them stay the same, attacking the same end. Touchdown turnaround is you then defend the end where you have just scored. So Jen Lee, I was talking about before, she attacked that, just got touched over the scoreline. But see, she's got that pace. She's just going to ask a lot of questions of the CSSC defence, and that situation there, CSSC hadn't made it back to the goal line before they made the touch.
Here she comes again, trying to make that difference, and you can already see, actually, she's already looking to try and dictate play straight from the off.
Yeah, both through the middle, but also she's got that ability to get the ball wide. And that's absolutely crucial in the women's game, where not a fewer number of people have that ability. For somebody to have somebody like Jen just come in, so Marnie's got that ability as well, and all of a sudden that's going to force, as we see Naomi Ferner go for to make a really good break up the left. What that'll do is that'll force CSSC to defend a little bit wider, which will then open the space for Jen to go through the middle. So a little bit like what we saw with Scorpions in the past couple of games.
So just over 10 minutes to go as we reaching the halfway points. Wow, looking for an option, looking for that support. Oh, just in the nick of time, saving it.
Oh, that was close. That was really close. Because Rosalind Chaston had done absolutely brilliantly there to lose her marker, just to create that little half metre of space, and very good covering defence from Galaxy to shut it down. Just.
Let's have another look on the replay. Here was Lois Lau Oh, that was almightily tight. Here come Galaxy London themselves. Julia Unsworth over the halfway. Rowland laying it off. Good yardage made up by Payton, although turnover now inside their own half for CSSC. Lois Lau with Maxwell. Oh, Kenzie McNaught almost just went ahead of herself and just couldn't cling on, and turnover now. Galaxy London, good opportunity now to really attack. Payton involved, now into the middle, Sonia Lamb. Just makes a few yards. Stops in her tracks. Sonia Lamb picks it up again, 1-2 and Payton is to the right. She gets it, good pressure from Lois Lau. That defence from CSSC, as we saw yesterday, staying strong. Final touch, can they do anything with it? It's going for the line. No, and no score this time around, so CSSC defend well.
There are times and places to come in as to try and affect a double touch, and that was one of them. So when you can see that there's no support and that a player is going to go for the line, that's the point where you want as many people shutting that down as possible, and that's what happened with McNaught and Lau in that situation there. So it was good covering defence. Just hope this isn't too serious on the far side.
Yeah, just slowly getting, well, initially slowly getting back to her feet. She does now, signalling that she's okay. That she is going to make her way off, and CSSC get the things back underway again. Here is Naomi Furnett. Claire Waddle is to the right. Cantwell is in your picture as well, with Charson as well. And here goes Naomi Furnett over the top. Oh, just couldn't cling on. It was Raymond Blythe who's got the only score of the game. Making that arcing run. Payton, Rowland laying it off. Collins making up the yards. Over the 10-metre mark they go. Here's Julia Unsworth who picks it up. Good momentum to this attack, and CSSC, just compared to yesterday, doesn't feel like, I don't know if that's because of the way Galaxy London are playing, but they're just not nullifying that attack early doors. Yeah,
they're, well, in terms of CSSC's defence, I think Galaxy are asking a lot of questions. One thing that's quite interesting that I've noticed is that, you know, Keisha Raymond Blythe is over there in the left link position. Is that what they're doing in terms of the defence on the Galaxy subbing move is that she's come out of defence at a really tight angle, worked really hard to shut off a pass on the inside. So even though she's not close to making the first touch, she's there to stop the subbing players coming over and flooding in over the halfway line, which is something that's Naomi Furnett goes all the way to the corner, to the dead ball line. Great bit of pace, lovely patience. Really good score there by CSSC to extend the lead. But just to go back to the defence there, is that what you see a lot of, so when, for example, with CSSC, when they're attacking and they go through the sub move, go over the halfway line, is that the players who are coming on will fan out and spread all the way out, so they can get they can get the ball wide if they want to. By defending the way that she does, they've got a couple of so they've got their near side link and their near side wing in front of the sub box, up in the faces of the Galaxy players they're coming up, and she's out there to stop that flooding if it comes on. And it means that she can then also just doesn't have to work as hard to sprint back to get back in defence. So it leaves their two middles. They can drop back with the referee. So it's really interesting. So like I say, their defensive setup is really intricate. It's really fascinating to see.
So can Galaxy London respond? Back into the middle. Here is Collins. Sonia Lamb is just to the right. Collins just makes up a few yards. Payton's also there. Payton gets it. Oh, but being shut out at the moment. Defensively just being put under a lot of pressure from CSSC. But here's Payton going for the line. Oh, and just in a little bit of a mix at Rowland just coming in that inside channel. And they don't read each other. And the attack fizzles out. And with just over 5 minutes left to go. One of our lowest scoring games of the day so far. CSSC are defending well, and another score, and I think that would end the game.
Yeah, it's just with that scoop and the drive, you want to really get to the dead ball line, which then opens a bit more space for the winger to then create. It gives more opportunity for the winger to create more space for herself. And it just became a little bit too congested. And, so for Galaxy, that's just why that just came to an end.
Kenzie McNaught making up the yards. Oh, lovely run. We saw one earlier, and is she going to go all the way but needs the support? Oh, just Lynn Cantwell just coming in. But Kenzie McNaught, she's done that a couple of times already this morning, and she's looking like a very handy player.
Yeah, she's just, in some respects, you want your fastest players to be in that link position because then they can attack that. And so she's come on the scoop as the half. She can't score, but, she's got past that defence. And, it's just, as I say, it's just a little bit of a shame that there wasn't the CSSC defender there. And all of a sudden, just to show, again, pace in your link, your wingers out wide. And then, they just a lovely score there for Emily Rona-Roper. And, it's just outright pace just to go on the outside. But, with the winger there to offload it if needs be.
So Rona-Roper put the afterburners on and has just closed the gap only to 1 point. 3.5 minutes remaining, and it's going to be an interesting and tight and compelling final couple of minutes. Can CSSC respond straight away? They're looking to try and do that with Raymond Blythe through the middle. Here's Claire Waddle laying it off. Naomi Furnett is there waiting for the pass. Naomi Furnett now gets it. Looks to go back inside, and what an instant response that is. Natalie Grimsey straight away, no messing about, and CSSC get that 2 point gap again.
Just in that build-up, we've just seen the end of it there. You saw Claire Waddell and Naomi Furnett both point as to where they wanted the play to go. They knew exactly what they were going to do. And it's just, like I say, it's that classiness, that familiarity, or the familiarity brings that classy touch. And, there's not a massive amount that Galaxy could do to that.
Now the opportunity for Galaxy London to try and respond straight away. Here is Collins and Sonia Lamb linking up. Payton is just there waiting in the rings, and Sonia Lamb lays it off. Payton with options left and right. She gets it back. Going for the line herself. Oh, just loses control of the ball as she went for the line one-handed.
So the thing that we can see from here, or that we can hear from here, sorry, is the amount of communication that's in that CSSE defence. They are talking all the time. We're going to hear their sub box as well. There's a massive amount of encouragement coming in from the sideline, but on the field, in terms of, we can hear them in terms of what they want the defenders to do around.
Lois Lau now driving her side up. Oh, and over the halfway line. She is stopped, but she's made up some significant ground. And Lynn Cantwell's there, just lays it back off to Lois Lau. Rebecca Maxwell, she gets it. Nice interchange between the two of them. Really nice build-up and momentum and flow to this attack. Can they finish it off? No, they can't. Stubborn defence from Galaxy London, so just under 90 seconds remaining.
Killed the ball off in exactly the right place. So now all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3.5 CSSC players are up. So, and all of a sudden now there's good pace here from Galaxy to take the second touch on their 10-metre line. But you could see the amount of effort that went into that from Danny Payton. And then they've conceded the penalty. But the amount of effort, you could see it was etched on her face as she's going to try and make it around that CSSC, that CSSC defence.
And as soon as she came off, she came for a sit down as well. And she really put all her energy into that run, and it proved actually to come to nothing. And here comes CSSC, just over 30 seconds remaining on our unofficial clock. And here is Claire Waddell, and looking to try and edge forward. Naomi Furnett as well is there.
Now that's a turnover because they didn't take the tap from where they're supposed to. So the referees correctly applied the rule that it's then a turnover to Galaxy. But CSSC will be a little bit disappointed with that. They should know to do that better, to talk more, just to confirm exactly where the play is supposed to restart, which should have been a bit of game management as well. no matter who to goes, CSSC have got maintained their unbeaten run for the weekend. Again, they deserved it. They were made to work hard. Galaxy will take a lot out of that. They put themselves in the right positions. But like I say, it's that familiarity amongst that CSSC team was ultimately the difference with that. So good win for them.
So another CSSC match and another CSSC win for this women's side as we move on to our penultimate game of this first session of these 20-minute games. And it is CSSC who are back in action once again, and they will take on Cambridge. That'll be our next game here in Oxford. Don't go anywhere. So here we go then, our penultimate game of this morning session of these 20-minute fixtures, and CSSC back in action against Cambridge women, and they have the tap off and looking to go off to the perfect start, looking for another win under their belts. But this should be a fascinating matchup, Chris.
That was the word I was going to use, Brad. Because yesterday's results, so Cambridge lost by 2 to CSSC in the 40-minute game yesterday, but were unbeaten in their 20-minute games, beat Galaxy and beat Thames Valley, and this is their first game of the day, and it's CSSC's 4th. So CSSC have got, as we saw yesterday, earlier on, they're properly warmed up. They've been going through the gears. They've got more wins this morning. They're flying high. Cambridge are coming into this fresh. They've had a nice long line this morning, and so this is going to be fascinating, as you say, fascinating to see how they click into it.
And still putting under pressure, and they do get off to that perfect start, and that is potentially due to those games they've been able to have and get in the groove, and they've got off to the perfect start this morning, and CSSC lead by a score to 0 after a minute 20.
Yeah, we saw in the last game Naomi Fairnett with that ability to go to go through the middle and to go wide. And that time she did a bit of both. Went through the middle, which created the space out wide, and with a good pass to finish it off.
Sadie Meakin now looking to try and get her team back into this. Cambridge looking to try and respond as quickly as possible.
So this Cambridge team is more of a Midlands team, really. So it's very similar to the Midlands team that'll play in the Nationals at the end of August. So Sadie Meakin, 38, Kate Davis-Bavin, and Lucy Snape, who's got the baseball cap on, the 15. They're all from the Nottingham club, who've been drafted in to play for Cambridge this weekend. So it's understandable if there's a little bit of a disconnect between them compared to CSSC, who are all from the same club. And but it's good development for Cambridge to draft people in like that.
So over halfway down the go, Naomi Fairnett just pops it up to Kenzie McNaught. Just couldn't cling on with one hand and turn over inside their own half. Meakin laying it off, and over the 10-metre mark they go. Snape now laying it back off to Sadie Meakin, and looks to try and get it back, although just a lack of communication as Lucy Snape wanted to just leave the field. So Ellen Good now. Good driving run by Hobson. Back into the middle. And making up some really good yards and using the subs well to try and drive the advantage home. Space was opening up on that far side, looking to go alone. And we have a leveller. Although Naomi Fairnett is just having a discussion with the referee, although it is confirmed, it is one apiece.
I think that's because Kate Mackay didn't get back to the goal line, and there wasn't necessarily as clear as communication as there might have been. So it's good awareness from Emma Oliver to finish that off, but great attack play. I thought CSSC did defend that really, really well. I think, certainly on the Cambridge right, Eleanor Pitcher, Lucy Norburn had made good meters, and Kate Davis-Bavin setting that up. But CSSC really got in their faces, and so it's ultimately finished off well. So, but good play all round.
Cantwell now looking to go for the line herself, stopped in her tracks. Maxwell and Lois Lau is there. Here is Lau laying it off to Cantwell just on the edge of the 5-metre. Coming forward, gets it into Cantwell, going for the line. And a perfect response for CSSC, and they are back in front. What a start to this game, our penultimate game of the morning.
Just cut on the angle. Emma Oliver knows that she's been done there, really. You can see in the body language on the score. Important for her to shake it off and get back onto the saddle. But that was just, good running lines make meters in any form of rugby. And in that situation, we saw earlier on London Scorpions create one with a dummy run that created a space for somebody else. This time it was the run itself that created that put Emma Oliver off balance and create the space for the score.
Looking to try and get in again. Kat Jones was linking it well there through the middle. Just stopped in her tracks. Kat Jones just being pegged back It's just maybe just trying to work a bit of a run to attack this CSSC's defence. Cat Jones laying it off, going in. Raymond Blythe claiming the touch.
Yeah, Isabel Hobson on the dive there, so she cuts in on a nice angle for Cat. Maybe could, and again, that's just one of those things that comes about with more familiarity in terms of how close to the runner you want to be. And they're now going to have a good. I thought that was going to be a penalty given there, just by the way that the referee was coming off, and I think everybody stopped, but it just turned out it was just coming off on a subbing and just getting his lines wrong. One of those things, and everybody plays on. I think everybody was all getting set for a Cambridge penalty.
They're all over halfway. Naomi Furnett's there.
Yeah, he's one of the younger refs. I'll have a quick look to see who it is. But what we've also got here are a lot of referee coaches as well. So Uma Ramaswamy's on this near side. She was out of the World Cup officiating herself, and she's passing on the expertise and the knowledge to our up-and-coming referees. And
making linking up Cat Jones over the halfway, driving forward nicely. Oh, just a loose control, turnover just on the edge of the halfway. Can they get the numbers involved to mount an attack?
Yeah, it's Toby Carter, who's still in his teens, and it's really good to see young referees come up and put their hands up to officiate at this level. And, you know, so to have him get the experience of refereeing top-level players in a very quick standard, because you'll be, you know, as a referee, you know, you'll easily rack up, you know, 15, 20K in a day. Up on one of these, and you know, one of these competitions, and there's no, you know, we see the players in the sub box get a chance for a bit of a breather and a bit of water. You know, as a referee, you get your water as you're jogging back up to the sideline, and we see Lee Massey here with his back towards us, is with the bucket with the you know, with bottles of water in it. So to have the coaching, as I say, from the likes of Uma Ramaswamy, and we've got Peter Fassenden here as well from Touch Europe and Scotland, and you know, so to have that feedback to referees is very, very important part of their development process.
So CSSC flooding forward. They defended that last attacking phase from Cambridge well, and they got a huge round of applause from the subs box. Here's Lois Lau laying off to Lynn Cantwell. Cantwell laying off to this near side. She gets it back and it keeps the attack flowing over the heads and back into the middle. As Maxwell laying off to Lois Lau. Cantwell just coming from this near side, coming back in, and this is a superb move. Can they finish it off? Oh, what an unbelievable touch potentially, was it? On the referee's just waiting for it. No, and it's Lois Lau who gets in, and that was. Let's have another look. Ariba just gets it in time. The diving attempt just not quite, and CSSC extend that lead.
It's the 1-2 switcheroo created that for Lois Lau. Lois finding Cantwell and then just getting the ball back straight away, and that 2-on-1 in close range can make all the difference in this. And once you get past that initial line of defence, you're always going to be scrambling, and you know, fair play to Lucy Norburn trying to get back and just couldn't get back there in time.
Cat Jones now trying to advance forward, laying off the pass and back into the middle. Just having to take a few steps back, just slowly playing it from left to right. It's almost just trying to work the angle, but look at this defence already from CSSC. It's become quite a thing over the weekend and part of their strategy. Pass just played over to that far side. It just looked like it almost just got caught in the wind slightly, and it just died in front of it. And CSSC advancing forward over towards their subs box, trying to get some fresh legs on. Lynn Cantwell coming forward nicely is Maka Maxwell. Lois Lau now picking up the loose ball. Maxwell gets it back over the 10-metre mark. They go. Kenzie McNaught is also there. She makes those ghosting runs for CSSC, and Natalie Grimsey gets it back into Cantwell. Cantwell going for the line. Turnover and possession, and that attack is stopped in its tracks and turnover.
So defence, CSSE sending 4 up initially and then working back to scramble. So as I say, it's just all the subtleties of how they throw different things at Cambridge to think about in there when they're attacking.
Lucy Snape trying to advance forward, laying it back off. She gets it. An important touch from Cantwell.
Great attack there from Kate Davis-Bavin and Lucy Snape. Just getting the ball off the floor, attacking the player who's offside, bringing the touch, and then an offside call and a fresh set of 6 on the CSSC 5-metre line.
Hobson back into Lucy Snape, dice for the line. Lewis Lau claiming the touch, or is it Cantwell as well, just getting in there. Lucy Snape, and there's Hobson as well, just waiting. Hobson gets it and passes it back to Lucy Snape. Lucy Snape gets the touch. Hobson laying off to Davis-Bavin, going for the line. And again, getting stopped in the tracks. This CSSC defence, as we often talk about, is just such a well-oiled machine. Here is Davis-Bavin laying it off to Isabel Hobson. Hobson opting to go out to this near side. Back in a looping pass to Davis-Bavin, just almost lost concentration, maybe just thinking one step ahead. And turnover possession, Lynn Cantwell laying it off to Natalie Grimsey. Cantwell getting it back. Lois Lau now going over the 10-metre mark.
Cambridge get caught offside, but so they put 3 players up to try and slow CSSC down. You know, so they're really working hard to put the pressure on them. So they know, like I said yesterday, keep on saying it like a broken record. CSSC's momentum, getting their fresh players on, and Cambridge need to keep on that across all parts of the field, as well as we just see the sublime distribution skills from Naomi Fairnett once again.
Naomi Fairnett in the middle, what can she do? Stacey Coffin there. Oh, lovely pass over to that far side and finished off. Is it?
No, it was a touch and pass, late pass there, so no score. But lovely build-up play from CSSC.
Dawson getting that touch in just in time. Davis-Bavin now laying it off. Over the halfway mark they go. Davis-Bavin getting it back, driving forward, doing well. Kat Jones now into the thick of things. And they're advancing forward now. Good momentum. Sadie Meakin is there. Goes for the line. And you can see the disappointment in the faces. CSSC, they concede one. And Cambridge now reducing that gap to 1.
That's a lovely finish from Sadie Meakin. I thought that she could have maybe come on a switch there. But, you know, they attacked the player who hadn't made it back to the goal line. And textbook finish, you know, identify the player who you're going to run at them hard, and then get down and dive from a bit of a distance and reach out before they get the chance to get back onside and to make the touch. So lovely score from Cambridge. 7 to play, and this one is still very much in the balance.
CSSC looking to try and respond straight away. Here's Rebecca Maxwell, and Cantwell is just to the left. Lois Lau picks it up. Cantwell just runs in front of her. Raymond Blythe is there, looks to try and dummy to the right. Look at this quick, decisive play. Lois Lau enters the field, and Cantwell into the goal area. And no score, but still an opportunity here for the London club. And Lois Lau just having to jack back slightly. Here is Rebecca Maxwell. Quick 1-2 with themselves, and now is Lois Lau and Maxwell. Almost just doing a full circle. Lois Lau over on that far side. It's still an opportunity for CSSC.
They've got a penalty coming up. Cambridge just not retreating back to the goal line again.
Lois Lau almost just at walking pace now with Rebecca Maxwell. Raymond Blythe is there. She got the ball rolling. Oh, just blocked off. And another opportunity now. And you see Sadie Meakin just punting it back. Just a bit of frustration.
And again, Cambridge are just not working back to the goal line quickly enough. What we're seeing is Lois's ability to think on the fly. So they're pulling and pushing the defence, the CSSC attack. But then what's happening is that she's then seeing, basically playing a bit of heads up as well. So they're trying to force Cambridge into doing one thing, but then being able to adapt on the fly. I think, as I said, said at the start of the day, I've been really, really impressed by this CSSC women's outfit over the course of the weekend.
Raymond Blythe, Naomi Furnett just in the middle now. Here is Claire Waddle. Naomi Furnett. Oh, laying it off, and Lynn Campbell was there waiting to pounce, and it just fizzed past her. An opportunity lost. So 4.5 minutes to go. This game is firmly balanced so far. Kat Jones just a bit tight and compact over on this near side, looking to try and get some fresh faces on. Sadie Meakin now picks it up with Lucy Snape. Advancing forward, making up some really good yards. Arcing a run towards that far side. There's some space opening up. It's a brilliant take. And the referee just waiting for that confirmation to come through. They're just having a quick chat. And Cambridge have levelled things up with under 4 minutes remaining. And this is going to be a intriguing close to this game.
Yeah, there was a little bit of discussion between Toby and Jen Lee, who's putting through a great shift after having played for Galaxy as well this morning, back in the yellow of the referees. And that was whether the question would have been as to whether that pass was forward, and it wasn't. Hands went backwards, even if the ball did go forwards. We did a little after the close of play yesterday. Did a little bit of filming to show that in practice, and a lovely finish from Cambridge.
Lois Lau involved. Rebecca Maxwell gets it over to that far side. She gets it back. Quick 1-2s. Oh, just the critical moment with Stacey Coffin just drops the ball in front of her. And now with 3 minutes remaining, can Cambridge go over the other end and spark a bit of an upset of the weekend? Good pressure again from CSSC. You can always see what they always try to do. A well-oiled machine at the moment over the halfway line. Sadie Meakin jinking left and right, almost ghosting her way through. Kat Jones now always tries to instigate and create, and the creator just stops in her tracks. Sadie Meakin. Good opportunity now here for Cambridge. 2 minutes remaining.
Yeah, we heard the sub box absolutely screaming that CSSC were not moving up. When you're in the 5 metre area, you've got to keep moving forward. And plenty of chat from Uma Ramaswamy, and who's the referee coach, and Simon Clare, who's coaching the Cambridge team here this weekend, just about that. But as it happened, Cambridge still had the penalty.
Sadie Meakin, is there some space opening up on that far side? The pass just collapses in front of her. She nearly clung on and got her fingers underneath the ball, but a really good opportunity lost for Cambridge. 90 seconds remaining. Are we going to get a winner? As they force their way over towards that subs box to get some fresh legs on, trying to build some momentum over their own 10 metre mark.
If there's a winner going to come, I suspect it may be from Cambridge, and I don't think it's for lack of quality. I just think, this is the point where CSSC's 4 games this morning just takes the toll out of their legs.
Just getting a bit scrambled over on this near side, but space potentially now opening up. Naomi Furnett, Claire Waddle maybe just holding on. Naomi Furnett going for the line, having to be pegged back. Good defensive work by Cambridge and stopping that attack. A minute to go. Can Cambridge get up the other end and get a winning score?
If this does end in a draw, it's a fair result. I think both teams have played very well. As I say, I think what Cambridge may be lacking in terms of fluidity is being more than made up for in their freshness.
Lucy Snape over the 10 metre mark, still going forward. Can they try? Is this going to be a last gasp win? They go through, looking for the support. Just waiting for the referee's confirmation. They're having a quick chat. Have Cambridge steal the win? Looking at the replay. Davis Bavin going for the line, looking for that support.
It's not been given. There's a penalty. So this is going to be the last play of the game because you can't finish on a penalty. Be a bit harsh on CSSC if Cambridge do finish with a win. But like I say, I think, as the game's gone on, they've got stronger and stronger. Fair result. Like I say, I think CSSC had a little bit more finesse, and Cambridge had the freshness, and I think that's how it's ended up. But fair play, and like I say, Cambridge coming into this game increasingly over the course of the 20 minutes. Good for them. I mean, they've got all of their action is condensed into this middle period over lunchtime. So they've got 2 games, then there's the lunch break, and then they're playing again. So, for them, that's a very good first outing, and they'll be needing to kick on in their next game, which is against London Scorpions in just a couple of minutes.
So yes, our final 20-minute game and our final fixture of the morning. And we'll have a short break after that. But our next game will be London Scorpions taking on Cambridge. Don't go anywhere. That'll be coming up next. So here we go, our final game of our first session of day 2 as Cambridge take on
London Scorpions.
London Scorpions.
The opposition have been changing around with. It's been a proper carousel of teams coming through this field 1 this morning. So we've seen Scorpions. We saw Scorpions finish the day against CSSC yesterday. I think, you know, they've had quite a few changes to their squad over the winter, and so this is the first time that a lot of them have played together at a tournament. So there's quite a lot of experienced individuals. So you know, on the field we've got Jake Grantham, who's the mixed open captain, Bronte Sykes in the women's open, Alice Watchorn, who's as experienced a referee as she is a player, in the middle. You know, there's some, as I say, there's some new players. Nikki Bird on the far side on the wing. You know, she's fresh into the squad, into the club over the winter, and you know, by her own admission, hasn't touched a rugby ball since Malaysia. Has taken a well-earned 2 months off.
And here come Cambridge then. Davis Bavin, Lucy Snape linking up. Sadie Meakin is also to the right, but Davis Bavin goes herself over the 5 metre line, looking to go out wide. And is stopped in the tracks. Anna Murphy, number 38, over on that far side.
Good shutting down by Scorps to stop Hannah Suzuki scoring. But they've conceded a penalty in the midfield.
Sadie Meakin looking to try and get that ball out wide once again. Davis Bavin is also there. Lucy Snape.
We saw it in when we had the Scorpions men earlier on. Great score there by Sadie Meakin, passing to Sue Ellen God for the opening touchdown of the game. I was just going to say, what we saw when London Scorpions were playing was Clark Hobson and Sam Missin know when to not release the pass. What we saw in that build-up there was exactly the same from Sadie Meakin. She's setting up a play, which was the one that eventually scored on the next phase. But when she could see that Scorpions had shut it off, fine, doesn't matter, got touches to play with, take the touch, walk back, no pressure, and all of a sudden run exactly the same play and it comes off. So the really good patience there from Sadie in the build-up to that.
Well, here come London Scorpions looking to try and respond straight away. Emily Irons is there just on the line. She gets it back. Hudson is there just waiting in the wings. Emily Crow is there as well with Emily Irons, but just stopped in the tracks, and Cambridge defend that attacking phase well. And looking to try and get colliding, clattering into each other. And just a few smiles shared. And they get on with it straight away.
Heard that from up here.
He certainly did. And looking to try and advance at the field. Sadie Meakin. And looking over the halfway line now. Kat Jones making her way on. Kate Davis-Bavin is there trying to push Kate Jones on. Davis-Bavin looking for the line of Hudson. Davis-Bavin goes herself. And Scorpions having to work from the back. Can they just make up a few yards? Good pressure though from Cambridge in these early stages. Over the 10 metre mark they go. Lovely hands. Hudson trying to get the ball over to that far side. And the attack just falls at the final stages, and turnover in the middle of the park. And Kat Jones just making up a few yards. Davis-Bavin now. Good yards made up once again. Lucy Snape in the middle. Just making that slightly arcing or banana run, as some of the players have called it over the last couple of events. Sadie Meek is there, she gets it, claims it, goes back inside Lucy Snape, but touch comes in and it is the final one. Bronte Sykes just closing Lucy Snape down. Good yards already made up. Bronte Sykes running onto it, getting some momentum. Lucy Snape getting a big touch and making know she's there. Over the halfway line they go. Jade Grantham passing and coming off now. Midway between the halfway and the 10-metre mark. Good work, Hudson. Bronte Sykes is there. Yeah, turnover and possession. And Cambridge still leading by 1-0, 5.5 gone.
It's good to hear the encouragement coming from the Scorpion sub-box, and that's a good 70 metres away from where we're at, and you can still hear them coming. And in particular, Alice Watchorn, who's one of the more experienced referees on the circuit, and I think as a result of that, she's got as they might say, a right pair of lungs. Because it's very, very loud, and you could hear that all the way from, as I say, the encouragement from there. The reason why I say that is that what's been really last year, we mic'd her up during a England training camp, so she was refereeing a game, and it's really interesting to see how you communicate as a referee in terms of, so that was the year when she was national referees manager. And just in terms of how she was talking to the players that she was refereeing around, it was very good for a young referee to see. If you look back on the YouTube channel for that from just about 14 months ago or so, there was also a bit where Mel Day was also, as we were testing the mic, was singing "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi, which was best left on the cutting room floor, I think.
Davis Bavin, Lucy Snape linking up. Sadie Meakin's just in your picture as well to the left. Davis Bavin finds Sadie Meakin, going for the line herself, and she goes in before that touch comes, and Cambridge now double their lead. It was clinical between those three. Davis Bavin, Lucy Snape and Sadie Meakin linking up really nicely, and Cambridge, they are taking control of this game, and Scorpions early doors, they really need this next score.
They do. There's Emily Irons did really well in defence, just to get into Kate Davis Bavin and Lucy Snape's face, just to get a bit more physical and to try and slow things down. But then Sadie just able to exploit the space between the link and the winger.
Hudson and Bronte Sykes linking up. Hudson getting into the goal zone, although good closing down. And the pitcher doing well. And good defensive work after some clinical attacking phases from Cambridge. And they're looking to try and work their way up the pitch now. Getting towards their subs box, and you can already see the coach just talking to them, getting these new faces on. Turner Wallace just getting in the way and interfering with play, and Cambridge can start again on the Scorpion 10-metre mark.
Plenty of discussion with this one. I think there's regular debates about whether that should be a fresh set of six or not, because the winger's just running back. She's not all she's doing is getting back into position. She's not playing at that ball. The ball was played into her, and so it wouldn't be a surprise if the referees had said, actually, that's a loss of control because you passed it into that, and it's up to you as the attacking team to be able to recognise that's coming through and maybe to hold that through. So interesting call there.
Megan Pemberton linking up and now going through the middle. Davis Bavin was waiting for that pass to come, but it didn't, and the Scorpions get the ball on their own 5-metre, and they can start again. So Wallace back into the middle. Bronte Sykes laying it off. Back into Bronte Sykes over the 10-metre mark, doing well. This is really nice momentum and float to this attack, and they get some fresh faces on.
Yeah, so Scorps have actually got they had a fresh set of six in the middle of that, which they're all hollering for it on the sub box, which you could see, and the referee was calling that. Ref Mike Davis in the middle is, I think it was one of the offloads either to Bronte Sykes or from Bronte Sykes, was just touched in flight. So it handed Scorpions the extra set of six, and they made the most of it, but just Emily Crowe just getting touched just as the half and the turnover. But for once, that's the Scorpions that we're used to seeing. That very flowing attacking move. It's more of the players who were playing this time last year, the Susanna Hudson, Bronte Sykes, Emily Crowe. That's when they combine really well, it just flows, and it's fantastic to watch.
So 10 minutes remaining then. We're at the halfway point. Kat Jones, midway between the 10 and 5 metre. Can they try and create something? Here's that picture, looking to go through herself. Oh, she isn't touched, but needs the support, of course. Oh, she beats another. Can she find it? No, she can't. And that's really disappointing in Cambridge. They were so close to finishing off. It was lovely work from Eleanor Pitcher, and it just needed that finishing off.
But Cambridge have a penalty. So there's lots of discussion with the referee just in the middle in terms of who was offside. I think it was quite difficult in terms of the breakdown of when the play just went into a bit of free form there, lost its structure.
Sadie Meakin.
Like an aging blancmange, it lost its structure there, that attack, but kept its sweetness as they ended up with a penalty. Just a shame that Eleanor Pitcher couldn't find Hannah Suzuki on the far side for the score, because it would have been a fantastic finish.
Looking to try and spread the ball over to that far side, back inside. Sadie Meakin is there waiting for it. She gets it, lays it back off on the 5 metre. Can they get in again? Referee confirms Cambridge now advance into a 3-point lead and have taken control of this final game of these 20-minute games.
Yeah, Victoria Chu worked really, really hard to get across. Made the touch, but that was the touch was being made as the ball was being placed on the ground. So score given, and I say Scorpions have shown in fits and starts today the slickness that they were lacking yesterday. But Cambridge, I think, we've are building on the good things that we saw against CSSC in their previous game. They're they're creating a lot of chances, and and while that didn't finish off the previous one, they made the most of the possession when they had it.
Hudson going in, and they get one back, so it's quickly brought back to only a 2-point advantage. Hudson going in, just making that run, trying to get in between Davis Bavin, and she does just that. So we are back to a 3-1 on the scoreline, so just over 7 minutes remaining.
Yeah, she's just got, Zan Hudson's been a mainstay of the England women's midfield for quite a while now, and it's those kind of runs are familiar sights. And it's just, and Davis Bavin would have known exactly what's coming, but knowing what's coming and being able to do something about it are two completely different things.
And here come Cambridge looking to try and get that instant response. Pemberton in the middle with Lucy Snape, and here's Eleanor Pitcher, who made that really fantastic run earlier on in the goal area, but she lays it off back to Lucy Snape, and she's just touched on the line, so that stops that attack. But they still have possession, of course. Here is Lucy Snape just taking a few almost horse trot steps back, and then just sets herself and looks to go out wide. Good covering defence. Nikki Bird on this near side, and she lays it off, and they have to start all the way from back. But look at this high line from Cambridge, trying to stop them from advancing up the field.
Keep talking about Malaysia, but one of the reasons why the women's 27s were so prepared and did so well is that Nikki managed to organise heat chamber watt bike sessions for them with the University of St Mary's, I think, in Twickenham, and hour-long watt bike sessions in a heat and humidity chamber. So in those 40 degree, 90% humidity. Imagine doing those watt bike sessions. I think at least loads and loads of times. I mean, and it just got the women's 27s into fantastic physical shape. It's one of the reasons why she's taken a little bit of time away from the game, and it's perfectly understandable when you put that amount of effort in as an amateur player for an extended period of time over the course of the winter to be able to do that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like my ideal Sunday morning. But here come the Scorpions looking to try and close the gap once again on the 10 metre. Here's Bronte Sykes making up some really good yards. Emily Crow involved as well. Hudson and Bronte Sykes just behind her. Sykes laying it back off to Emily Crow. Crow going for the line. And stopped. And nullifies that attack. But still possession, of course, from the Scorpions. Here is Hudson. Crow now just having to almost go in a full semicircle back on herself, and now here is Emily Crow looking to go long, maybe some space opening up, claims it and takes it down. Do they? No, they're not, but they could.
She's short of the line.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, she's short of the line, and So that just shows what Scorpions are capable of in terms of creating the opportunities. And we said it watching particularly CSSC with the likes of Lois Lau, Naomi Fairnet getting the ability to get the ball wide. This time Zan Hudson, we saw her outright pace for her own score, and that time her pass out to Victoria Chu was absolutely brilliant. It's just so happens that the ball, as I say, was grounded short of the goal line. Just to go back to that, I think my ideal Sunday morning would have been, I wouldn't mind so much having a heavy gym session or a heavy workout, but then I'd undo it massively with a with a bit of roast gammon and roast potatoes down by the river in Richmond Town Centre, which would defeat the object completely. But still, it paid off in the end when they came back home with a medal.
Absolutely, as Nikki Bird just tries to claim it, the ball was just fist above her head, and she just couldn't quite claim it. And turnover in possession, Davis Bavin tries to advance her side up the field, and just over 3.5 minutes remaining.
So what it looks like, I wouldn't be surprised if Cambridge now go on and win this, but for Scorpions, just in these 20 minutes, they'll be a lot happier with the last 20 minutes than they were by close of play yesterday. I think they've come into it, they've played some good stuff. They've really started to click a lot in attack, and they've created a number of chances, even if they haven't finished them off. So Zan Hudson, off both hands, we saw her with the left, was coming off the right that time. They're really asking a lot of questions at the Cambridge defence, and that's what you want to do as an attacking team.
Hudson laying it off. Jade Grantham going forward. Hudson gets it back. Some space opening up on that far side, looking for that support. Can't seem to find it. Oh, have they got it down? Just looking at the referee over that far side. No.
Pass made after the touch. Cambridge scramble well then. But for Scorps, like I said, they're putting themselves into the scoring positions, and that's the important thing. And as their season goes on, and as we move to Canterbury in a couple of weeks' time, wouldn't be surprised to see them play some really, really good stuff down there.
Nice yards made up onto the halfway line. Lucy Snape picks up the ball and advances towards the 10-metre mark. Lucy Snape just lays it off for Davis Bavin is to the right. Goes back to Lucy Snape. Can she just sneak her way through? Really good defensive work. Emily Crow there just on the edge of a 5-metre. 2 minutes remaining then of a final 20-minute game of the weekend. Oh, and a mistake inside the deep inside the London Scorpions half, and a great opportunity now here for Cambridge. Davis Bavin in the middle. Emma Oliver is there. Davis Bavin slows things right down. So two number 30s on the pitch, Eleanor Pitcher and Emma Oliver now. And here is Pitcher laying it off to Oliver. Oliver looking right, but opts to go herself. She was looking for that run and seeing that run over Davis Bavin. And a Pitcher gets the touch. Davis Bavin going for the line. Last touch scored from the referee, so can they try and finish this off with a minute remaining? Davis Bavin laying it back off. Is this space opening up? Having to do a full run around, still going strong. Davis Bavin making that run back inside to Emma Oliver. Oliver with that long lofted pass just couldn't be taken, and the Scorpions defend well with 45 seconds remaining on our clock until full time.
And a well-earned lunch break for all involved, I think. These the players have put in a massive amount of work this morning. The action has been, they've played the equivalent of a couple of 40-minute games each, but it's been at a higher intensity than you'd normally see in a 40-minute game, because then, there's a bit more discussion to be had, there's a bit more tactical work, there's a bit more conditioning, whereas in the 20-minute, you've just got to go for it sometimes. And especially like early doors, we had a real shootout. And I think, like I say, good win for Cambridge, and I think they did deserve it on the balance of play. For Scorpions, Lots to build on in the afternoon session. They've got one game left today as a 40-minute against Galaxy, I think, later on, which we'll see last game of the day at 4 o'clock. And they've got a lot to build on that. As I said, they really did start to click in this game against Cambridge, and as I say, they'll regroup over the lunch break.
So that brings an end towards our first session of the day 2 here in Oxford for the men's and women's national touch series, and we'll be back in around about half an hour's time for our first 40-minute game of day 2, and we'll see the men's Galaxy London taking on Cambridge. That'll be next up. We'll see you very shortly.